Get the channels up. Only no Fernando. Oh, YouTube's lagging.
I'm here in Washington, D.C., and today I will be testifying in front.
All right, I'm not playing that yet. Every time I have OBS up, it's just slow. OBS takes a lot of processing, space, and energy. I mean, it's taking forever. Yeah. Still spinning over here. I'm waiting. That's driving me crazy, man. What the hell, bro? What the hell? Oh, there. Okay. Get back. Remember that song, ABBA? Anyway, let's get the... Just gotta make sure. Okay, I got that. I'm going to my channel. Live. And there I am. Okay. I'm going to leave this up until people come on, because it happens. Okay. Alright, so good. I put it in the refrigerator, took a bite, and forgot. Alright. Squirrel! Alright. Howdy and aloha, everyone. This is James with Monotalk. Yeah. Thank you for being here. Great to have you aboard if you are paying attention. There's a lot. There's not a lot going on, right? There's not a lot going on with the Demoncrats. There's just not. They don't. They're constantly in defense mode, and it's pretty apparent. I mean, they're in this position right now where all it takes is a couple of senators and a few legislators, maybe in the House or the Senate, or maybe some governors that get pinned in all this fraud from Nick Shirley. Also, we have Trump in Davos. You know, I'm gonna go through. Got it. I'm gonna play it, but I'm gonna play it fast because it's like an hour. The guy just went on. You know, Trump. He's not. He's definitely not Biden that can do maybe 20 minutes without starting to fucking forget where he's at and what he's doing, which was pretty apparent. And I got this. I wanted to put this on right here. See if I can get this to zoom in. Come on, machine. Will we get it? I think it's trying to pick it up. Let's see if I can go back a little bit. See if it'll get it here. Right. It's not. It's blurry. Cameron Kasky. I would like to retract my comments from CNN last night and truly apologize. This is one of the shitheads at CNN, so-called journalists. Donald Trump was obviously not involved with a gigantic international child sex trafficking ring where women and children were systematically raped by elites. Yeah. I said that by accident and didn't mean it. It's what it fucking said. Really? That was by accident? All that like a fucking sentence, like almost a paragraph of shit. Believe it what you want. The guys getting shit done. There are a bunch of just TDSs off the hook. It's crazy. Alright. I'm going now to play this Davos thing. Because I want to get it on record. So let's go into here. I'm just going to go over a few things that I've been looking at here on YouTube. Make this a little bigger so you can see what the fuck I'm talking about. Now I got to put on my glasses. If I don't, it's kind of blurry, but my vision's actually getting a little better. It's weird. I mean, been eating good. I don't drink that much. I don't drink at all. No drugs, nothing. I just, go to work, do the shit I got to do, take care of business. And business is booming, baby. It's booming. All right. So this is Nick Shirley. All right. Up here, there's this channel. He's the reason why Minnesota is now being investigated. The guy that's with him, I wanted to get his name, is the one that's been doing the investigation for like over a decade. And all this fraud. It's pretty crazy. Just check here real quick. Alright. I am going to play. We can jump into this later. Or just come back to it. There's a lot. There's Rebel News is going out there and getting these elitists. I mean, here's a good one right here. Yeah, I'm getting distracted. So this is Rebel News. Putting in a new tab. We're gonna play it. Hopefully it won't be a commercial, which it might be. And fucking YouTube's taking forever. Here we go.
This is a private jet airport. Ezra Levant here, along with my colleague Avi Yamini. We're at the Altenrhein Airport. It's a small private airport in Switzerland that's the closest to the Davos World Economic Forum conference. This is not a commercial airport like Zurich or Geneva where you can get a flight from Toronto or Melbourne. This is a private jet airport. We come here every year because it's so incredible to watch the masters of the universe, that's what I call them, who fly in private jets only. And some of them fly in a jet here and then take a helicopter for the last part of the journey to Davos to tell the rest of us, reduce your carbon footprint, don't eat so much meat, turn down your thermostat in the winter. Now it's super foggy here now, so I don't know if they've temporarily paused landing.
Yeah, so that's all you need to know. That's Davos. Oh, you know what? Let me play this chick. This is fucking hilarious. I gotta play it. Fuck, this chick nailed it. Oh, did I say that? I don't think it's in here. Nope. Anyway. Maybe it's on my Facebook. Let me check. I'm pretty sure it's somewhere. I think it's somewhere. Oh, here's some craziness. Look at these fucking people. Trans youth deserve to be a part of a team. Okay, so let me just not to get too distracted. I'm gonna show Trump. I'm telling you, I'm gonna show it right now. Restream chat is ready to display messages. Okay, that's just crazy. This fucking insanity. It's just and it's not okay. It's fucking nuts. Oh, here she is. New tab. I mean, my sentiments exactly. It's just fucking nuts. You just gotta watch this.
A wonderful time of the year again where a bunch of millionaires and billionaires get in their private jets, fly to Davos, stay in luxurious hotels, eat filet mignons and a bunch of red meat and all of that stuff while preaching climate change and BS to the rest of us. What a great time of the year. Anyways, they're at the World Economic Forum yearly meeting that they have. And of course, Carney's there because our entire government has been infiltrated by the World Economic Forum. And Justin Trudeau showed up with his girlfriend, Katy Perry. Ew, I guess she really did kiss a girl and she liked it. And she liked the taste of shit on his chapstick. However, the lyrics go, I don't even know. But man, that guy's face is still as repulsive as it was when he was prime minister. Anyway, so Davos takes a kickoff, right? And a bunch of European countries are trying to flex on the United States. Macaroni shows up in aviators.
Macron.
So that's Macaroni and his aviators thinking he's looking cool and fly or whatever.
He's on
and he starts
coke.
Being threatening. He's all like,
They're all a bunch of fucking drug dealers. Yeah. A bunch of fucking drug dealers. Let me show you. I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you the drug deal. Here it is right here. There it is, people. So they were surprised a few months ago when, you got to see it, I'm going to show you, the French President Emmanuel Macron, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, and then German Chancellor Friedrich Merz. They come in and there's a sack of cocaine. And then there's a spoon and then they're hiding it. This is a bag of cocaine. This is cocaine sniffing spoon. After a meeting with Ukraine President Zelensky. That's them. That was May 9th of 20... Oh, yeah. Shit, that was... 6-7 months ago. That was a while. 4 or 5 months ago. Yeah, 6 months ago. Anyway, it's crazy. Isn't that crazy? That was real. That really happened. This was on video. So I captured the part where right before they took these items off of... And they snuck them. They just... Oh, shit. There's a camera in here. Fuck. So they're just putting it away in the pocket real quick. These are just criminals. Criminals. And they don't give a fuck about anything or anybody. They don't. They're not. They're just criminals. And Congress is... I've always said random drug testing in Congress. I think it's Paulina Luna, who wanted that, and a few others, but no, they're not gonna do it, because I think a lot of these fucking people in Congress, even Republicans, are just gone. They're on opioids, they're on drugs, they're on everything, and they're just soaking in their own money, laundering money, and there still is a duopoly. I understand that. I know that. But Trump, he's doing what he can to get away from that. But he's got to do certain things. So we're going to go. These are the Davos people, by the way. Okay, so let's go back to Trump and the YouTube here. Because I'm going to play. Black Demons lose his mind. Yeah, Clinton's panic, delete Twitter comments. Check. They're now getting subpoenaed, and they're not coming. They're going to Congress is a dog and pony show. I've went over this 100,000 times. We want charges, Pam Bondi, charges, and you're gonna fuck up. It's either you're just part of it, or you part of the duopoly, because it kind of seems that way. I mean, she really doesn't have anything going on. It's just stupid. There's some more people. Melanie Jolie bolts after being confronted by they just bolt out, right? And I don't need to play it for you. The guy's asking a few legitimate, pertinent questions of her activities and behavior as a leader. And she just fucking runs away. Oh, yeah, we're taking care of it. Goodbye. What? What the fuck just happened? Right? Pretty fucking nuts. These people are just all a bunch of fucking criminals. But here's some trans information I want to tell you. Okay, watch. Here's some trans information. I'm going to get rid of this. Okay, that's me. Let's see. But I want to play this. And the reason why I'm playing this, I know I'm kind of going back for whatever. I don't fucking care. Play this in the new tab.
The United States today sure will be a tall task as the U.S. team that has the goal scoring haven't been tested a whole lot defensively. You have to think today's the day.
Well, you're seeing those shots from distance right now, but as long as Anguin can see them,
they'll find one there from their captain. A blue line shot from Averill, and it's 1-0 for the United States.
not sure whether this might have redirected it. Again, that puck is going to be turned over. It doesn't get out from below the goal line, just throwing it towards the net. There's Nora, number 25, just looking to get a stick on it.
McLaughlin all alone, looks for Hartmans. Elaine, she'll take it wrong. Dangling with the glove save.
So the Americans, the first number 1 ranked power play in the tournament, I mean, 53%.
Averill accepts the pass.
53% on power plays. That's crazy. That's fuck. You guys don't understand how I used to watch how I played hockey.
Connects with Tallahanson.
But I'm telling you right now, that's fucking crazy. Usually it's like 38, 40 power plays. Don't always work that well with men's sports, but these girls are just amazing. And they're girls. They're girls, man. They're all girls. This entire league is women. Not a bunch of fucking trans crazy fucks. Okay? Right? Not a bunch of trans crazy fucks. Right? Like a good kick in the balls will solve your gender confusion. Of course. Right? Oh, I'm a girl. Boop! No, you're not. You're on the ground fucking screaming. Yeah. It's just craziness. Crazy. Just nuts. Sicko fucking crazy nuts bullshit. And it's all not organic. It's all pre-planned. They've been doing it for a long time. It's the process. I went over that. Here's another one. Right? This dude is a high school teacher. What the fuck? Right? This used to be our health and human services. This is this fucking dude too. It's fucking nuts. Yeah, it's the BlackRock and all these world WF is all into it. I proved the point that they just want you guys to not exist. They're trying to get rid of all of you. That is their goal, to get rid of you. At least 2/3 of the planet so they can hoard the rest for themselves. If you think that's wrong, just put all the dots together. And Trump is in their way. Trump wants the nuclear family. He wants people to have kids. He wants male, female. And if you want to be a male and a fifi or whatever, do that. But I just don't, I don't, 2 men raising a kid is weird to me. Just doesn't seem right. 2 women, it makes sense. More sense, I'm just saying. I mean, they're maternal. They got the maternal instinct. Oh, here's a good one right here. This used to be our military. These are dudes dressed in women's clothes. Dudes dressed as women. What the fuck? I never want to see shit like this in the U.S. military ever again. Do you? I don't. It's fucking crazy. It's crazy. It's literally a sane asylum crazy. It's fucking nuts. All right, we're gonna get to Trump. Okay. Greenland deal is done. Oh yeah, the Greenland deal is coming to fruition. And then look at Jimmy Dore. Always just Jimmy. Look, bro, You got TDS. All right. Zimmerano, you got TDS. Let me play this because this is what's happening out there. There's a lot of people that are very, they're kind of in shock. They're traumatized. They're baffled and bewildered. And they're just going, what the fuck is going on? Right? It's in the history. I think it's in the history. Let me just look at the history real quick. Okay, that's a good one. I just fucking played it. There's Greenland deal. This isn't picking up the stuff that I've watched. This is so strange. So strange. Oh, here it is right here. I gotta play this.
So hold on. So this is really what...
All right, I'm going to play this, and this is where people are at right now. They just can't handle, and remember, you're hearing it from me because I can see the psychosis. I can see the stress. I can see how these people, we're going to get to Trump, just hang on. Because what's going to happen is I'm going to play the whole thing, but I'm going to speed it up. And we might just do a quarter of it or half of it because it's pretty long. But this is where people are at with Trump and how fast, how quick, how diligent, how hard this man is working. And people they can't fathom what's going on because it's moving so fast, right? He's got the upper hand now. He's like, I'm fucking moving at light speed, warp. Let's just call it warp speed. This is fucking back shit. But this is what's happening. And I want you guys to understand that you're not the only one feeling this. I understand what this man has been doing. I understand the urgencies that he's doing it. He wants to get as much done before the midterms.
So hold on. So this is really what has me kind of concerned. And people are, I don't know, when you go here, listen to the Golden Globes, and they're all, oh my God, I can't believe this is not my country, blah, blah, blah. And I would never really know what they're talking about. But one of the things I could imagine they would be nervous about is what feels like kind of recklessness. It feels like it. I'm not saying it is.
It's not reckless.
And that we seem to be going a lot of directions very fast. Does that concern you that we're going to Greenland and Iran and Venezuela and Cuba and Mexico? It feels too much to me. But what do I know?
Well, I would say something that I pretty much consistently say on the show, which is Donald Trump is doing a lot of things, and he's doing a lot of things well. And he's also running up against the clock because if the Republicans lose the midterms, he's basically hung out to dry for 2 years, and this incredible turnaround of the country is pretty much over. So I think he is, you know, there's looks maxing. That's what the kids are doing now. He's like foreign policy maxing right now. And to this point, it basically has all been good. He's thrown.
Yeah, I think it's been great. But I think that's what he's doing. I don't know what the deal was. Maybe they're saying, hey, you got a year and a half to get everything done that you want to do. And then after this, we're taking back the House. We're taking back the Senate. And we don't want Pam to do anything. That's my biggest concern. But he is doing as much as he can as quickly as he can. The only problem is he has Pam Bondi, who isn't really doing much. She's reactionary. She's not aggressive. She's just not aggressive. And the reason why I'm going to say that is because it's true. She's just not aggressive. She's not doing what needs to be done to make sure. Let me just get over here. She's not doing she's not doing what needs to be done to make sure that the House and the Senate is locked up. Meaning, all these Demoncrats and a few Repiglicans are still roaming free. What that means is that the Democratic Party supporters still think there's hope, and the Democrats are still fantastic and all this other shit, because nobody's in jail. Nobody's been prosecuted. Nobody's been charged. Not the right people. She missed the statute of limitations on J6. She also has missed a bunch of other shit, and she's just not doing anything. I mean, and I'm beginning to think maybe that's what's supposed to happen. Is Trump is doing everything he can as quickly as he can before he loses the House or the Senate, and then it's just a lame duck. Everything's lame duck. Everything's fucked. We're back to square one. Davos and the WF starts to come back in. But Pam's just not doing shit, and I'm concerned that maybe she's being told not to do shit. That's my concern. I don't think she's incompetent. I don't think she's an idiot. I just think that she's being held back. I think she's got a leash on her, and that's my biggest concern. So I wanted to go here. Yeah, right here. This is a good.
I mean, what we're seeing around this country is they're using their political influence to attack people that disagree with them. They're going to come at me with charges, and I'm not scared of that. There's no base for these charges. I did not block them from, their service. They welcomed us in. They never asked us to leave. The police never came in and removed us. So we didn't stop their service. In fact, people were still praying the entire time. The music was still playing the entire time. So, Pam Bondi, you want to come and arrest me? You want to come and give me charges? So be it. And for all the people getting...
Nobody cares about you. And for Pam Bondi to fucking even contemplate going after that piece of shit, that's not the problem. What I've said, and I'm going to keep saying it, right, is the reason why this shit is happening is because Pam Bondi hasn't done shit. Period. Pam Bondi has had in her magazine, and all she needs to do is fucking cock it and pull it. She's had all this ready, nothing. Right? All this stuff. Epstein files are going to come eventually. That's going to happen. Right? But the Doge findings is huge. The Russia hoax, that was a failure. COVID-19 deaths, of course. Fauci, J6 committee was the big one. Just missed that. Biden auto pen. We need the shit now. We don't need allegations. Allegations ain't going to do it, Pam. Charges just ain't going to do it. You need to put these people in bars before the midterms. For fuck's sakes. For fuck's sakes. It's just crazy. I don't care about that little shit. We want Capitol Hill legislators, judiciaries, and executives across the country to go down. People that are... It's not that she doesn't have the information. I've got the information. Come to me. I've got plenty of information. There's Nick Shirley, who's got tons of information. The reason why they went after fucking Minnesota and Tim Walz and all these, and Ilhan Omar and all this, just because of not because of her. She hasn't done shit. Not a fucking thing. Right? And I keep putting this up right here. Yes, I'm blaming Pam for what has been happening to ICE agents and the pushback coming from the deranged, delusional Demoncrats regarding everything. Nobody's in jail, and they are fully still believing that the Democratic Party is wonderful and fantastic. It's going to get a lot worse until Pam files charges upon people that work at the U.S. Capitol Hill, convicts them of a crime, and then sends them off to prison. Do not, and I repeat, do not wait to file just before the midterms. Allegations and charges won't be the optics necessary to move the Democratic Party supporters towards the Republican Party. Only convictions and prison sentences. Like real. Here's what's also interesting. And did I save this one? Yeah. Darn it. All right, maybe I replied to it, but I think I've got a good one here. This is good right here. Look at this. Pam Bonnie's excuse generator. Snacks exceeded the budget. Courthouse was too cold. Donors requested more delay. Trust the process. It was a holiday. Can't find a judge. Just fucking ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. And then they didn't. And then the House, the Senate. This is like a warrior for the Republican Party. And for Trump. She's like full Trump, Republican, great U.S. attorney for Eastern District of Virginia. And the Senate didn't confirm her. What the fuck? Just ridiculous. Look at Mike Johnson kissing fucking Trump's ass. Fuck you, dude. I told everybody the guy's a little weasel. And he still is a little weasel. He's a fucking weasel. Weasel. Right? You're not helping any of this, man. You haven't even pushed the SAVE Act. You shithead. So this is the aggression of Pam. Of the Demoncrats. Republicans arrested under Biden administration. Donald Trump. Walt Nova. I mean, all these people. Plus the 1,260 J6 defendants. Isn't that crazy? And 700 of them were placed in jail. Were incarcerated. Some committed suicide. Pam Bondi is shit. Right? And I put right here, these delusional, deranged Democrats, paid protesters, antagonizers, instigators, and obstructors of federal law enforcement are calling themselves legal protesters, Pam. They're calling themselves legal protesters. What the fuck? The insanity continues because AG Pam Bondi hasn't arrested a single Democratic Party legislator. Anything else? Any real Donald Trump? Anything? Look at that. ICE violently targets legal observers. Oh, that's legal observers. Whatever. I would like to retract my comments. Yeah, it's just nuts. Oh, this is that one where he wanted to retract his comments. Right? Fucking at. This is the guy that said it. He said it right here. This little shithead on CNN. He's got to get it out there. See, that's the goal of that, was to get that out. They don't care if they apologize later. It's just bullshit. And Pam's letting it happen. Or Trump is. Or somebody's fucking letting it. It's just, this is crazy. This is nuts. This shit has got to stop. Right? I think I want to keep that. Do I have download, copy image address? I'll just put it in Paint. I'm going to save it real quick. I put Demoncrats arrested dozens and Pam nothing. Yeah, for sure. She's not doing anything. Fucking not doing shit. And this is, we're the mainstream media is still out there. It's still powerful. It's still generating the crap that it needs to generate. Right? Yeah. And who are these people? These doings. Most of these things are people for. Anytime I get like somebody mentioning or responding or liking my stuff on X, it's usually somebody that's trying to sell me QFX or some Bitcoin shit or trying to get me to some dating site. It's just really fucking out of control. Elon is just totally out of control. All right, let's get to Trump. Yeah, so that's, just want to show you Davos real quick. This is Davos right here. You'll learn nothing, be happy. It's okay to eat human food. This really happened. They were pushing this like it was okay. This publication is sponsored and led and connected to the World Economic Forum. Swedish scientists advocate eating humans to combat climate change. Are you fucked? Seriously? They really printed that. It's not a joke. You gotta eat the bugs, right? Robert Downey Jr., the fucking chef fucker, Angelina Jolie, the Tom Cruise's ex. You know, and then they want to block out the sun. These people are nuts. They're fucking nuts. They're a bunch of crazy fuckers. You own nothing and have no privacy and you'll be happy. Crazy. They're fucking crazy. It's not crazy. That's what they're trying to do. Yeah. Trump is trying to stop that. The problem is he's got a year and a half to do it. That's the problem. That's the sad part. He's got a year and a half to fucking do it. Right? So they're crazy. All right. We are now going to. Okay, so.
I'm here in Washington, D.C., and today I will be testifying in front of Congress. How this works is I will be testifying right here. Each person will have 5 minutes to testify. And then up here you have all of the congressmen and congresswomen. They also will have their time as well. And I'm going to be talking about the widespread fraud that's been happening inside the United States and in Minnesota. As you guys all saw, I exposed the open and blatant fraud that's taking place inside
I gotta get that
Minnesota.
That guy's name.
And so therefore I'm here to testify about that. And what will happen is each one of these congressmen will have then 5 minutes to go and ask me questions. And there'll be a clock on one of these screens, and for 5 minutes I have to answer all questions that are directed to me. It's almost like a shot clock in a basketball game where you have to go until the timer runs out. And really quick, the quality leering hoodies are live on the website, Shirley Defense. You can go ahead and get it in the link in the description or in the pinned comment down below. And now let's testify in front of Congress.
Mr. Shirley, you're recognized for your opening statement.
Awesome. I'm here today to speak on behalf of all hardworking, law-abiding, tax-paying citizens here inside of the United States. I've helped bring to light widespread fraud that's happening inside our nation, and we the people have had enough of our hard-earned money going towards fraudsters as if it's no big deal. As I speak here, I want to ask everyone a question. How much do we trust when we pay our taxes it's going to benefit our nation? People erupted during the Boston Tea Party over just a few percentages as they believe they are being taxed without representation. Nowadays, we have the representation, but do we trust our representatives? My name is Nick Shirley, and I made a 41-minute video that I posted on platforms like X and YouTube. My video received over 100 million views, and it created instant change within our government. As the federal government launched investigations in departments such as Health and Human Services froze over $185 million in child care funding until businesses can prove they are legitimate businesses. I actually became aware of the fraud that was happening in Minnesota in June of 2025 as I was there for a separate video, and Minnesotans started reaching out to me asking me if I was making a video on the fraud. I said, well, what fraud? And this lady, she was a real estate agent, and she says, well, I'm having a hard time selling my properties because people are curious about these assisted livings that are popping up next door to some of the houses that we're buying, or the home health care clinics that are popping up, and we don't know who's next to these houses that we're trying to sell. And I said, well, I'm not gonna come and make a video if I don't have any proof. So therefore I left Minnesota, and I continued to look for fraud in the best way I could. And as I was getting my own information, a man by the name of David reached out to me, and he said, hey, I have been investigating this fraud for years now. I have been driving by these child care centers. I've never seen a single child, and I have received the information from the state of Minnesota as to how much money these places are receiving. I said, great, let me come to Minnesota and we'll make this video about potential fraud that was taking place inside of Minnesota. We go to a daycare, and I'm instantly surprised by what we see. We arrived, and it was an industrialized building, and there was 2 daycares registered at that building. And the first thing I noticed is all the windows are blacked out, and there's no footprints in the snow of any children. There's no playgrounds or anything that would make it look like it's a child care. But above me, a sign read, open 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. But there was nobody there. The doorbell did not even work. And then we continued to go to other daycares, and we noticed the same pattern. No children, blacked out windows, and one daycare, a learning center, spelled Quality Learning Center instead of Quality Learning Center. They had received $1.9 million, yet with that $1.9 million, they could not even spell leering right on their sign. Governor Walz has said he's been fighting fraud in Minnesota since 2019 and said the buck stops with him. However, how long would it take for you to notice $1 million leaving your bank account and not knowing where it's going? That's essentially what had been happening in Minnesota for years, as billions of dollars have been misplaced. And meanwhile, while people like Governor Tim Walz call people like me a white supremacist, delusional conspiracy theorist, he actually decided to drop out of re-election because I believe of how deep and extensive this fraud is. Thank you very much. Since my reporting, the HHS department froze over $185 million, and to this day, not a single business has been able to prove proof of legitimacy. How fast would you be proving that you are a legitimate business if you have children to actually feed and to take care of? You'd be sending in that paperwork instantly. I made this video to document the widespread fraud that has been taking place, as I truly believe all fraud is bad. And people like me, my generation, we're sick of seeing tax dollars go towards fraud. We just want to have the same opportunities that our fathers and our grandparents had. And when you see people making millions of dollars by committing fraud, it upsets everybody from all age demographics. And so I hope today we can have a good conversation, and I think we can all agree that fraud is bad and that fraud is fraud. And I wish the best for our country, and I think that's what needs to be happening, is to crack down on all forms of fraud. So thank you for having me, and God bless the USA.
Mr. Shirley, now I guess investigative journalists are known as right-wing social media influencers. So can you confirm how many daycare centers you personally visited in Minnesota during your investigation?
During that first video, we went to around 7.
How did you select those facilities? I know you said earlier footprints in the snow, but how was it that you identified those facilities to go to initially?
So the man David in the video, he had the daycares with the CCAP funding, and we just simply drove around Minnesota and around Minneapolis area.
Took a lot of courage to do that, I would imagine. Probably more so now than what it was when you initially did it. 100 million views, you said.
Yes, over 140 million views on X alone.
So what was Mr. David's background? How did you connect with him, and how did he call you, or did you reach out?
He simply is just a man in Minnesota who has a passion for his city, and he's been seeing fraud take place for years. And out of all the thousands of messages I get on Instagram and other platforms, I just happened to read his, and he provided me the information, so I gave him a phone call.
And then from there, just went to those different facilities. What was probably the most interesting thing as you were doing this? I think I saw the video. We watched it, and it looked like there was a number of facilities like in the same building.
Yes. So in one building, there was, I believe, 3 daycares, and there was no children. And they were all receiving CCAP funding for separate daycares. There's one daycare we went to that one day it was closed by the government, and then that same day it was reopened underneath another name. And they both received CCAP funding.
So how many daycares are there in Minneapolis we think are fraudulent right now? Mr. Shirley, any idea? Are there amount of money total? You get any idea on that?
Well, they've frozen over $185 million, and not a single business has been able to prove that they're a legitimate business yet.
It's 185 million for sure that we know.
Mr. Shirley, thank you for your testimony today and the work that you've done. Americans hear these numbers of the fraud that we have, and whether it's 10,000 or 10 million or 10 billion, sometimes the numbers, you almost become desensitized to it. And so the way that your video was able to show people the fraud sort of in real life actually happening, I think opened a lot of eyes and has helped to catalyze a level of scrutiny that we really should have had before. So you mentioned in your testimony that you think that what you discovered in Minnesota, that this is not isolated to that state, but likely exists in other parts of the country as well, correct?
Correct.
What makes you think that?
Well, now you're seeing, since I've posted that video, lots of other people have started to go to other locations, for instance, in Ohio or in Maine or in California. They're also seeing the similar fraud take place in other daycares, for instance, in a lot of other locations.
Yeah, I have a particular interest in California, being from that state, and we know that there's been a lot of fraud. There was $32.6 billion that's been confirmed in unemployment insurance fraud. There's 1.2 million fraudulent community college applications. Have you gotten any sense, or have you seen any signs there that sort of are similar to what aroused your suspicions in Minnesota?
Yeah, and fraud in California might be worse than the fraud in Minnesota.
What makes you say that?
Well, $24 billion went missing for homelessness. They've been trying to build this train for years, yet there's hardly anything to prove for that. Fires.
Yeah, those are good points. So you look at let's run through a couple of those. Because I mentioned the areas where we have confirmed fraud, but then you also have these areas where you have so much spending, and then we look at what results from that spending, and there's nothing. So $24 billion in homelessness, and yet the homeless population went up, and a state audit found that they couldn't even figure out where the money went or what the outcomes linked to that spending were. Is that something that is kind of a red flag for you?
Yeah, it's a major red flag, and you don't even have to be smart to be able to know that that's a red flag.
Well, unfortunately, our state legislators haven't managed to figure that out, or at least the governor hasn't. So what are you saying about him?
Pam hasn't. It's Pam, for fuck's sakes. Come on, Pam.
They're not smart. No, but yeah, I mean, it's so obvious, and that's what we saw in Minnesota, is how complicit the government has been in enabling this fraud to happen. Quality Learning Center had over 90 violations, yet they continue to give that daycare $1.9 million.
Yeah, that's a great point. That there's the political accountability just hasn't been there, and that's what enables it to continue. So then you mentioned the high-speed rail as well. So there has been about $18 billion spent so far. No track has been laid, and not a single passenger has ridden the train. So when you spend $18 billion on a train and there's no train, does that raise suspicions for you?
Yes.
So you think that might be something worth looking at?
For sure.
We also had a $650 million 911 service that they scrapped after 6 years, so absolutely no value from it. Maybe that's another example where there might at least be questions.
I think you got a lot in California.
All right, well, we'll look forward to seeing what you find. We're certainly trying to use whatever.
Isn't that crazy? I mean, what the fuck? It just... Here's my take on all of this, okay? Is... What the fuck is Pam Bondi doing? I want to know. Pam? It's because of this kid and his associate, the guy who actually did all the work. I don't know his name. Some older guy my age who's just been watching this shit for a long time in Minnesota, but at least and there's a lot of people with this information. Like I said, I've got tons of information to show that they used Fluvid-19 to create longer times. Yo, hey, brother, I'm on. Hey, Jordan, how you doing, buddy? I'm gonna play that, but I'm gonna play it a little faster, and then I'm gonna go start my rice because I got some chicken thighs. I like chicken thighs and celery. It's really good. So, cream of celery from Campbell's. It's my favorite. Yeah, there's so much fraud, but it's people like me that are exposing this stuff. It's, because I clearly proved how they used COVID to extend the time it takes to count these illegitimate, fraudulent ballots and stuffing and creating and they were boarding up everything. And I went over all that in a lot of my videos in the past, and I clearly proved a lot of that stuff. And where's Pam? Where's Cash? Where are these damn Bonadingo left? Because he basically said nothing's fucking happening. That's what he basically said. He said it was because it was strenuous on his family is a bullshit. We know it. The real reason why he left because he doesn't want to be a part of fucking these Pam the loser and Cash the fucking, there's Epstein didn't kill himself. Crazy shit. Which he was totally in a totally different direction a year prior to that. Right? It's just so obvious. This duopoly is still existing. They want to keep the ping pong game going back and forth. It's just nuts. It's criminal in my opinion. It's totally criminal in my opinion. And it's sad because we're watching it in real time. We're watching everybody else do her job. And all she says is, oh, we got people coming out now. Now, you should have done it. You should have been all over this shit a long time ago. Stuff that's been around for a long time. Now that it's made mainstream media and it's got millions and millions of views, now it's important. It's huge to the midterms coming up. Like I said, either you sit there and do nothing and watch Trump's efforts, activities, positive, great stuff that he's trying to do for this country and all of us to fix the fucking illegitimate Biden administration, which is easily to prove, which has been done over and over again by Tim Pool, by me, by Benny Johnson, by Trish. There's a bunch of fucking people out there just throwing this stuff out there. It's right in your face, Pam. It's like fucking right in your face, and you're not doing shit. Cash, thank you for, the child traffickers, getting them off the streets and going after these people. And I love all that stuff. Thank you very much. But we got to get to the source of this shit. And these are the people that are out there allowing it to still happen. It's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. It's sad. It's wrong. And I'm concerned that the duopoly and the deep state still runs the Capitol. That's where I'm at right now. Unless Pam fucking actually does something, files a charge, gets a case that doesn't fall apart, and does their fucking job, then I think we're going to be okay. But if this continues with nothing freaking happening, then we're gonna let this. They'll start eating each other. I mean, that's where we're at. It's fucking ridiculous. All right. I'm going to go in. I'm going to play. I'm going to play Trump's speech. By the way, the Greenland deal seems like it's going to be done. And nobody's invading. Europe sent a bunch of troops out there to protect Greenland. Okay, good luck with that. Good luck with that, bro. Right? Trump slams NATO. Here it is right here. It's an hour and 35 minutes, right? So I'm going to speed it up.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome.
And there's the piece of shit Larry Fink.
Wow.
Fuck God, this guy's just
in the last quarter century,
and him being anywhere near Trump is just terrible. Like when they had that dinner and we saw Zuckerberg on the right side of Trump and you saw Bill Gates. This is like 3 or 4 months ago. And then you saw Bill Gates next to Melania. I'm just like, what the fuck? There's people in Trump's cabinet just don't get it. Lednick went crazy on which I thought was pretty awesome. And I always thought he was more of a mole, but he could just be grandstanding. Who fucking knows? But I'm going to play this.
The President of the United States has come to Davos.
Everything in 1 year would trigger a follow us up. I've come to
this year. Thankfully, benefit designed to give more Americans discussions with Donald J. Trump.
He was kind of slow. I mean, but he's. Thank you. There are a few people standing. A lot of you gotta listen to this. All right, so we're gonna go to. Oh, fuck! I can't make it faster. No. Volume. Oh, come on now. Fuck. Come on. Well, I can. I'll put CC up there.
Well, thank you very much, Larry.
I'm I am keeping this on Facebook. Excuse me, on my YouTube as record. This is like my documentary. I'm gonna go make some dinner. This is gonna take a while, but I'm gonna let him do his thing. Let's see if he talks all the way through to the end. Oh, and then he has a sit down. Okay, whatever. Let's go back here. Damn, we can't speed that up. He goes kind of slow in this. You know, the guy's everywhere. He's just working his ass off. I mean, the guy's amazing. I just think he's fucking amazing. The people he surrounds with, I'm a little.
Well, thank you very much, Larry. It's great to be back in beautiful Davos, Switzerland, and to address so many respected business leaders, so many friends, few enemies.
Yeah.
And all of the distinguished guests. It's a who's who, I will say that. I've come to this year's World Economic Forum with truly phenomenal news from America. Yesterday marked the one-year anniversary of my inauguration, and today, after 12 months back in the White House, our economy is booming, growth is exploding, productivity is surging, investment is soaring, incomes are rising, inflation has been defeated, our previously open and dangerous border is closed and virtually impenetrable, and the United States is in the midst of the fastest and most dramatic economic turnaround in our country's history. Under the Biden administration, America was plagued by the nightmare of stagflation, meaning low growth, and high inflation, a recipe for misery, failure, and decline. But now, after just 1 year of my policies, we are witnessing the exact opposite: virtually no inflation and extraordinarily high economic growth. Growth like, I believe you'll see very shortly, our country has never seen before, perhaps no country has ever seen before. Over the past 3 months, core inflation has been just 1.6%. Meanwhile, fourth quarter growth is projected to be 5.4%, far greater than anybody other than myself and a few others had predicted. Since the election, the stock market has set 52 all-time high records. So that's in 1 year, 52 records, adding $9 trillion in value to retirement accounts, 401ks, and people's savings. People are doing very well. They're very happy with me. Since my inauguration, we've lifted more than 1.2 million people off of food stamps, and after 4 years in which Biden secured less than $1 trillion of new investment in our country. Think of that, 1 trillion, substantially less than that. In 4 years, we've secured commitments for a record-breaking $18 trillion, and we think when the final numbers come out, they'll be closer to $20 trillion of investment. That's never been done by any country at any time, not even close. Just over 1 year ago, under the radical left Democrats, we were a dead country. Now we are the hottest country anywhere in the world. In fact, the United States economy is on pace to grow at double the rate that was projected by the IMF just last April. And with my growth and tariff policies, it should be much higher. I really believe we can be much higher than that. And this is all great news, and it's great for all nations. The USA is the economic engine on the planet, and when America booms, the entire world booms. It's been the history. When it goes bad, it goes bad. You all follow us down, and you follow us up, and we're at a point that I don't believe we've ever been. I never thought we could do it this quickly. My biggest surprise is I thought it would take more than a year, maybe like a year and 1 month. But it's happened very quickly. This afternoon, I want to discuss how we have achieved this economic miracle, how we intend to raise living standards for our citizens to levels never seen before, and perhaps how you too and the places where you come from can do much better by following what we're doing, because certain places in Europe are not even recognizable, frankly, anymore. They're not recognizable. And we can argue about it, but there's no argument. Friends come back from different places. I don't want to insult anybody and say I don't recognize it. And that's not in a positive way. That's in a very negative way. And I love Europe, and I want to see Europe go good, but it's not heading in the right direction. In recent decades, it became conventional wisdom in Washington and European capitals that the only way to grow a modern Western economy was through ever-increasing government spending, unchecked mass migration, and endless foreign imports. The consensus was that so-called dirty jobs and heavy industry should be sent elsewhere, that affordable energy should be replaced by the Green New Scam, and that countries could be propped up by importing new and entirely different populations from faraway lands. This was the path that sleepy Joe Biden administration and many other Western governments very foolishly followed, turning their backs on everything that makes nations rich and powerful and strong. And there's so much potential in so many nations. The result was record budget and trade deficits and a growing sovereign deficit driven by the largest wave of mass migration in human history. We've never seen anything like it. Quite frankly, many parts of our world are being destroyed before our very eyes, and the leaders don't even understand what's happening. And the ones that do understand aren't doing anything about it. Virtually all of the so-called experts predicted my plans to end this failed model would trigger a global recession and runaway inflation. But we have proven them wrong. It's actually just the opposite. In 1 year, our agenda has produced a transformation like America has not seen in over 100 years. Instead of closing down energy plants, we're opening them up. Instead of building ineffective, money-losing windmills, we're taking them down and not approving any. Instead of empowering bureaucrats, we're firing them, and they're going out and getting jobs in the private sector for 2 and 3 times what they were making in government. So they started off hating me when we fired them, and now they love me. Instead of raising taxes on domestic producers, we're lowering them and raising tariffs on foreign nations to pay for the damage that they've caused. In 12 months, we have removed over 270,000 bureaucrats from the federal payrolls, the largest single-year reduction in government employment since the end of World War II. Nobody thought that was coming, but we had no choice. To make a country great, you can't have all federal jobs. We've cut federal spending by $100 billion and slashed the federal budget deficit by 27% in the single year. It's going to go down quite a bit more from that, driving inflation way down from the record highs of the Biden administration. Every month, they went up and up and up. I promised to cut 10 old regulations for every single new regulation. But instead, I've cut, actually, till this point, 129 regulations for every 1 new regulation approved. So every time they come in with a new regulation, we do at least 10, but so far it's averaging out to 129, if you can believe it. In July, we passed the largest tax cuts in American history, including no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security for our great seniors. We also provided 100% expensing, that's the one they like, and bonus depreciation for all new equipment and capital investments to help companies expand and shift production to America. They are so in love with that. They build a plant, they're able to deduct it immediately, the whole thing, rather than waiting 38 to 41 years in the old days. This is a miracle taking place. Nobody thought it would ever be done by any country, but it's done by us. It was what made my first term the most successful 4-year term that we've ever had from a financial standpoint. And now we've upped it. This is a 10-year program, not a 1-year program. But you're allowed to deduct everything in 1 year. It used to be 38 to 41 years. With tariffs, we've radically reduced our ballooning trade deficit, which was the largest in world history. We were losing more than $1 trillion every single year, and it was just wasted. It was going to waste. But in 1 year, I slashed our monthly trade deficit by a staggering 77%, and all of this with no inflation, something everyone said could not be done. There were a couple of brilliant people that actually thought I was doing the right thing. I thought I was doing the right thing. Now they all think I'm doing the right thing because they can't believe the numbers. American exports are now up by more than $150 billion. Domestic steel production is up by 300,000 tons a month, and it's doubling over the next 4 months. It's doubling and tripling, and we have steel plants being built all over the country. Nobody thought they'd see that. Factory construction is up by 41%, and that number is really going to skyrocket right now because that's during a process that they're putting in to get their approvals, and we've given very, very quick, fast approvals. In the process, we've made historic trade deals with partners covering 40% of all U.S. trade. Some of the greatest companies and countries in the world. We have countries as our partner, too. The European nations, Japan, South Korea. They're our partners. They've gone into massive deals with us, especially on oil and gas. And these agreements raise growth and cause stock markets to boom, not only in the U.S., but virtually every country that came to make a deal, because, as you've learned, when the United States goes up, you follow. It's really become a staple. In America, I've stopped the nation-wrecking energy policies that drive up prices while sending jobs and factories to the world's worst polluters. They are indeed polluters. Under sleepy Joe Biden, new domestic oil and gas leases fell by 95%. Think of that. Then they wonder, why was gasoline going up so fast? The gasoline actually topped $5 a gallon, and some places $7 a gallon, and more than 100 major power plants were violently shut down by incompetent people that had no idea what the hell they were doing. Under my leadership, U.S. natural gas production is at an all-time high by far. U.S. oil production is up by 730,000 barrels a day, and last week we picked up 50 million barrels from Venezuela alone. Venezuela has been an amazing place for so many years, but then they went bad with their policies. 20 years ago, it was a great country, and now it's got problems, but we're helping them. And those 50 million barrels, we're going to be splitting up with them, and they'll be making more money than they've made in a long time. Venezuela is going to do fantastically well. We appreciate all of the cooperation we've been giving. We've been giving great cooperation. Once the attack ended, and they said, let's make a deal. More people should do that. But Venezuela is going to make more money in the next 6 months than they've made in the last 20 years. Every major oil company is coming in with us. It's amazing. It's a beautiful thing to see. The leadership of the country has been very good. They've been very, very smart. The price of gasoline is now below $2.50 a gallon in many states, $2.30 a gallon in most states. Then we'll soon be averaging less than $2 a gallon. In many places, it's already down even lower, $1.95 a gallon. Numerous states are at $1.99, numbers that nobody has heard for years. Actually, since my last administration, we got it down to around those numbers. I've signed an order directing and approval of many new nuclear reactors. We're going heavy into nuclear. I was not a big fan because I didn't like the risk, the danger. But they have the progress they've made with nuclear is unbelievable, and the safety progress they've made is incredible. We're very much into the world of nuclear energy, and we can have it now at good prices and very, very safe. And we're leading the world in AI by a lot. We're leading China by a lot. I think President Xi respects what we've done, in part because I've allowed these big companies building these massive buildings to build their own electric capacity. They're building their own power plants, which when added up is more than any country anywhere in the world is doing. I read recently an article in the Wall Street Journal that China's creating so much energy, and they are. I got to hand it to them. But we're creating as much or more, and we're letting them do that. I'm very proud of it. It was my idea. I said, you can't create this much energy. We needed more than double the energy currently in the country just to take care of the AI plants. And I said, we can't do that. We have an old grid system. And I came up with the idea, you know, you people are brilliant. You have a lot of money. Let's see what you can do. You can build your own electric generating plants. And they looked at me. They didn't believe me. All of the names that are, I think, in the room right now, if you want to know the truth, they didn't believe it. And I said, no, you can't. They came back 2 weeks and they didn't have the plant. They said, we thought you were kidding. I said, no, not only am I not kidding, you're going to have your approvals within 2 weeks. I always say.
Yeah, I told you it's slow and it's long, but it's good.
Nuclear will take 3 weeks. But most aren't going that. They're going oil and gas. They're even going coal in some cases. Because of my landslide election victory, the United States avoided the catastrophic energy collapse which befell every European nation that pursued the Green New Scam, perhaps the greatest hoax in history. The Green New Scam, windmills all over the place, destroy your land, destroy your land. Every time that goes around, you lose $1,000. You're supposed to make money with energy, not lose money. Here in Europe, we've seen the fate that the radical left tried to impose on America. They tried very hard. Germany now generates 22% less electricity than it did in 2017. And it's not the current chancellor's fault. He's solving the problem. He's going to do a great job. But what they did before he got there, I guess that's why he got there. And electricity prices are 64% higher. The United Kingdom produces just 1/3 of the total energy from all sources that it did in 1999. Think of that, 1/3. And they're sitting on top of the North Sea, one of the greatest reserves anywhere in the world, but they don't use it. And that's one reason why their energy has reached catastrophically low levels with equally high prices. High prices, very low levels. Think of that, 1/3. And you're sitting on top of the North Sea, and they like to say, well, you know, that's depleted. It's not depleted. It's got 500 years. They haven't even found the oil. The North Sea is incredible. They don't let anybody drill. Environmentally, they don't let them drill. They make it impossible for the oil companies to go. They take 92% of the revenues. So the oil companies say, we can't do it. They came to see me. Is there anything you can do? I want Europe to do great. I want UK to do great. They're sitting on one of the greatest energy sources in the world, and they don't use it. In fact, their electricity prices have soared 139%. There are windmills all over Europe. There are windmills all over the place, and they are losers. One thing I've noticed is that the more windmills a country has, the more money that country loses and the worse that country is doing. China makes almost all of the windmills, and yet I haven't been able to find any wind farms in China. Did you ever think of that? It's a good way of looking at it. They're smart. China's very smart. They make them, they sell them for a fortune. They sell them to the stupid people that buy them, but they don't use them themselves. They put up a couple of big wind farms, but they don't use them. They just put them up to show people what they could look like. They don't spin. They don't do anything. They use a thing called coal, mostly. But China goes with the coal. They go with oil and gas. They're starting to look at nuclear a little bit, and they're doing just fine. They make a fortune selling the windmills, though, and I think really that's one that they wouldn't be surprised if it stopped. They are shocked that it continues to go. They're very friendly with me. They're shocked that people continue to buy those damn things. They killed the birds. They ruin your landscapes. Other than that, I think they're fabulous, by the way. Stupid people buy them. The consequences of such destructive policies have been stark, including lower economic growth, lower standards of living, lower birth rates, more socially disruptive migration, more vulnerability to hostile foreign adversaries, and much, much smaller militaries. The United States cares greatly about the people of Europe. We really do. I mean, look, I am derived from Europe. Scotland and Germany, 100% Scotland, my mother, 100% German, my father. And we believe deeply in the bonds we share with Europe as a civilization. I want to see it do great. That's why issues like energy, trade, immigration, and economic growth must be central concerns to anyone who wants to see a strong and united West, because Europe and those countries have to do their thing. They have to get out of the culture that they've created over the last 10 years. It's horrible what they're doing to themselves. They're destroying themselves. It's beautiful, beautiful places. We want strong allies, not seriously weakened ones. We want Europe to be strong. Ultimately, these are matters of national security, and perhaps no current issue makes the situation more clear than what's currently going on with Greenland. Would you like me to say a few words of Greenland? I was going to leave it out of the speech, but I think I would have been reviewed very negatively. I have tremendous respect for both the people of Greenland and the people of Denmark, tremendous respect. But every NATO ally has an obligation to be able to defend their own territory. And the fact is, no nation or group of nations is in any position to be able to secure Greenland other than the United States. We're a great power, much greater than people even understand. I think they found that out 2 weeks ago in Venezuela. We saw this in World War II, when Denmark fell to Germany after just 6 hours of fighting and was totally unable to defend either itself or Greenland. So the United States was then compelled, we did it, we felt an obligation to do it, to send our own forces to hold the Greenland territory, and hold it we did at great cost and expense. They didn't have a chance of getting on it, and they tried. Denmark knows that. We literally set up bases on Greenland for Denmark. We fought for Denmark. We weren't fighting for anyone else. We were fighting to save it for Denmark. Big, beautiful piece of ice. It's hard to call it land. It's a big piece of ice. But we saved Greenland and successfully prevented our enemies from gaining a foothold in our hemisphere. So we did it for ourselves also. And then after the war, which we won it big. Without us, right now you'd all be speaking German and a little Japanese, perhaps. After the war, we gave Greenland back to Denmark. How stupid were we to do that? But we did it. But we gave it back. But how ungrateful are they now? So now our country and the world face much greater risks than it did ever before because of missiles, because of nuclear, because of weapons of warfare that I can't even talk about. 2 weeks ago, they saw weapons that nobody ever heard of. They weren't able to fire one shot at us. They said, what happened? Everything was discombobulated. They said, we've got them in our sights. Press the trigger, and nothing happened. No anti-aircraft missiles went up. There was one that went up about 30 feet and crashed down right next to the people that sent it. They said, what the hell is going on? Those defensive systems were made by Russia and by China. So they're going to go back to the drawing boards, I guess. Greenland is a vast, almost entirely uninhabited and undeveloped territory that's sitting undefended in a key strategic location between the United States, Russia, and China. That's exactly where it is, right smack in the middle. Wasn't important nearly when we gave it back. You know, when we gave it back, it wasn't the same as it is now. It's not important for any other reason, you know, everyone talks about the minerals. There's so many places. There's no rare earth, no such thing as rare earth. There's rare processing, but there's so much rare earth. And this, to get to this rare earth, you got to go through hundreds of feet of ice. That's not the reason we need it. We need it for strategic national security and international security. This enormous unsecured island is actually part of North America, on the northern frontier of the Western Hemisphere. That's our territory. It is therefore a core national security interest of the United States of America. And in fact, it's been our policy for hundreds of years to prevent outside threats from entering our hemisphere, and we've done it very successfully. We've never been stronger than we are now. That's why American presidents have sought to purchase Greenland for nearly 2 centuries. You know, for 2 centuries they've been trying to do it. They should have kept it after World War II, but they had a different president. That's all right. People think differently. Much more necessary now than it was at that time, however. In 2019, Denmark said that they would spend over $200 million to strengthen Greenland's defenses. But as you know, they spent less than 1% of that amount. 1%, there's no sign of Denmark there. And I say that with great respect for Denmark, whose people I love, whose leaders are very good. It's the United States alone that can protect this giant mass of land, this giant piece of ice, develop it and improve it and make it so that it's good for Europe and safe for Europe and good for us. And that's the reason I'm seeking immediate negotiations to once again discuss the acquisition of Greenland by the United States, just as we have acquired many other territories throughout our history, as many of the European nations have. They've acquired, there's nothing wrong with it. Many of them, some went in reverse, actually, if you look. Some had great, vast wealth, great, vast lands all over the world. They went in reverse. They're stuck back where they started. That happens too. But some grow. But this would not be a threat to NATO. This would greatly enhance the security of the entire alliance, the NATO alliance. The United States is treated very unfairly by NATO. I want to tell you that. And when you think about it, nobody can dispute it. We give so much and we get so little in return. And I've been a critic of NATO for many years. And yet I've done more to help NATO than any other president by far, than any other person. You wouldn't have NATO if I didn't get involved in my first term. The war with Ukraine is an example. We are thousands of miles away, separated by a giant ocean. It's a war that should have never started, and it wouldn't have started if the 2020 U.S. presidential election weren't rigged. It was a rigged election. Everybody now knows that. They found out. People will soon be prosecuted for what they did. It's probably breaking news, but it should be. It was a rigged election. You can't have rigged elections. You need strong borders, strong elections, and ideally a good press. I always say it. Strong borders, strong elections, free, fair elections, and a fair media. The media is terrible. It's very crooked. It's very biased, terrible. But someday it'll straighten out because it's losing all credibility. Think of it. When I went in a landslide, a giant landslide, won all 7 swing states, won the popular vote, won everything.
Told you,
and they only get negative press. That means that it has no credibility. And if they're going to get credibility, they're going to have to be fair. So you need a fair press. But you also need those other elements. And I inherited a terrible, terrible situation. If you look, the border was open. The inflation was raging. Everything was bad with the United States when I came into office.
We're not even halfway.
But I also
through.
inherited a mess with Ukraine and Russia, something that would have never happened.
And I
know
thought I
Putin
was
very
a
well.
jabber
He and I would discuss Ukraine. It was the apple of his eye, but he wasn't going to do anything. I said, Vladimir, you're not doing it. He would never have done it. It was terrible what happened. I could see it happening, too. After I left, I could see it happening. Biden had given Ukraine and NATO $350 billion, a staggering sum, $350 billion. I came in, and just like the southern border, just like inflation, just like our economy, I said, wow, this place is in trouble, meaning our country. All of these things were out of control. But the border was out of control. We fixed it with the strongest border anywhere in the world. And I've now been working on this war for 1 year, during which time I settled 8 other wars. India, Pakistan. I settled other wars that were Vladimir Putin called me, Armenia, Azerbaijan. He said, I can't believe you settled that one. They were going on for 35 years. I settled it in 1 day. And President Putin called me. He said, you know, I can't believe I've worked on that war for 10 years trying to settle it. I couldn't do it. I said, do me a favor, focus on settling your war. Don't worry about that one. What does the United States get out of all of this work, all of this money, other than death, destruction, and massive amounts of cash going to people who don't appreciate what we do? They don't appreciate what we do. I'm talking about NATO. I'm talking about Europe. They have to work on Ukraine. We don't. The United States is very far away. We have a big, beautiful ocean separating us. We have nothing to do with it. Until I came along, NATO was only supposed to pay 2% of GDP. But they weren't paying. Most of the countries weren't paying anything. The United States was paying for virtually 100% of NATO. And I got that stopped. I said, that's not fair. But then, more importantly, I got NATO to pay 5%, and now they were paying, and now they are paying. So something nobody said was possible. They said, we will never go up higher than 2%. But they went to 5%, and now they're paying the 5. They didn't pay the 2, and now they're paying the 5. And they're stronger for it, and they have an excellent, by the way, Secretary General, who's possibly in the room. Mark, are you here? Yes, he's here. Hello, Mark. We never asked for anything, and we never got anything. We probably won't get anything unless I decide to use excessive strength and force, where we would be, frankly, unstoppable. But I won't do that. Okay? Now everyone's saying, oh, good. That's probably the biggest statement I made, because people thought I would use force. I don't have to use force. I don't want to use force. I won't use force. All the United States is asking for is a place called Greenland, where we already had it as a trustee, but respectfully returned it back to Denmark not long ago, after we defeated the Germans, the Japanese, the Italians, and others in World War II. We gave it back to them. We were a powerful force then, but we are a much more powerful force now, after I rebuilt the military in my first term and continue to do so today. We have a budget of $1.5 trillion. We're bringing back battleships. The battleship is 100 times more powerful than the great battleships you saw in World War II, those great, big, gorgeous ships, the Missouri, the Iowa, the Alabama. Because I thought maybe we could take them out of mothballs. They said, no, sir, these ships are 100, think of that, 100 times more powerful than those big, magnificent pieces of art that you saw so many times ago, that you still see on television. You say, wow, what a force. 100 times, each ship 100 times more powerful than the big battleships of the past. So that was the end of the mothball story. So what we have gotten out of NATO is nothing, except to protect Europe from the Soviet Union and now Russia. I mean, we've helped them for so many years. We've never gotten anything, except we pay for NATO. And we paid for many years, until I came along, We paid for, in my opinion, 100% of NATO because they weren't paying their bills. And all we're asking for is to get Greenland, including right title and ownership, because you need the ownership to defend it. You can't defend it on a lease. Number one, legally it's not defensible that way, totally. And number two, psychologically, who the hell wants to defend a license agreement or a lease, which is a large piece of ice in the middle of the ocean where if there is a war, much of the action will take place on that piece of ice. Think of it. Those missiles would be flying right over the center of that piece of ice. All we want from Denmark for national and international security and to keep our very energetic and dangerous potential enemies at bay is this land on which we're going to build the greatest golden dome ever built. We're building a golden dome that's going to, just by its very nature, going to be defending Canada. Canada gets a lot of freebies from us, by the way. They should be grateful also, but they're not. I watched your Prime Minister yesterday. He wasn't so grateful. But they should be grateful to us. Canada lives because of the United States. Remember that, Mark, the next time you make your statements. What we did for Israel was amazing, but that's nothing compared to what we have planned for the United States, Canada, and the rest of the world. We are going to build a dome like no other. We did it for Israel. And by the way, I told Bibi, stop taking credit for the dome. That's our technology. That's our stuff. But they had a lot of courage, and they were good fighters, and they did a good job, and we wiped out the Iran nuclear threat like nobody can believe. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. That, Venezuela, taking down Soleimani, wiping out al-Baghdadi when he tried to reinstitute ISIS. We did a lot. I did a lot of big things, all perfectly executed. Everyone was perfectly executed. Somebody told me that, a military expert told me, sir, everything you've done has been perfectly executed. I said, I know. So other presidents have spent, whether foolishly or not, trillions and trillions of dollars on NATO and gotten absolutely nothing in return. We've never asked for anything. It's always a one-way street. Now they want us to help them with Ukraine. And we say, we're going to. I'm really helping, not even them. I want to see, last week, if you saw, it was 10,000 soldiers, but last month it was 31,000 soldiers died. 31,000. That's this room times, the number of people in this room times 30. Think of it. 30,000 soldiers died in 1 month. The month before it was 27,000. The month before that it was 28,000. The month before that it was 25,000. It's a bloodbath over there. And that's what I want to stop. It doesn't help the United States, but these are souls. These are young people. Look like you, look like some of you right in the front row. They go to war. Their parents are so proud. Oh, there he goes, comes back. 2 weeks later, they get a call, your son's head's been blown off. I want to stop it. It's a horrible war. It's the worst since World War II. They keep going, they'll exceed World War II. The numbers are staggering, how many people they've lost. They don't want to talk about it. Ukraine and Russia lost just tremendous amounts. And I'm dealing with President Putin, and he wants to make a deal, I believe. I'm dealing with President Zelensky, and I think he wants to make a deal. I'm meeting him today. He might be in the audience right now. But they got to get that war stopped because too many people are dying, needlessly dying. Too many souls are being lost. It's the only reason I'm interested in doing it. But in doing it, I'm helping Europe, I'm helping NATO, and I've until the last few days when I told them about Iceland, they loved me. They called me daddy, right, last time. A very smart man said, he's our daddy. He's running it. I was like running it. I went from running it to being a terrible human being. But now what I'm asking for is a piece of ice, cold and poorly located, that can play a vital role in world peace and world protection. It's a very small ask compared to what we have given them for many, many decades. But the problem with NATO is that we'll be there for them 100%. But I'm not sure that they'd be there for us. If we gave them the call, gentlemen, we are being attacked. We're under attack by such and such a nation. I know them all very well. I'm not sure that they'd be there. I know we'd be there for them. I don't know that they'd be there for us. So with all of the money we expend, with all of the blood, sweat, and tears, I don't know that they'd be there for us. They're not there for us on Iceland, that I can tell you. I mean, our stock market took the first dip yesterday because of Iceland. So Iceland's already cost us a lot of money. But that dip is peanuts compared to what it's gone up. And we have an unbelievable future in that stock. That stock market is going to be doubled. We're going to hit 50,000, and that stock market's going to double in a relatively short period of time because of everything that's happening. But this is a good example. After giving NATO and European nations trillions and trillions of dollars in defense, they buy our weapons. We make the greatest weapons in the world, but now we're going to make them faster, much faster. You saw that. I put a cap on the salaries. Then I put no buybacks, no stock buybacks, no various other things that they were doing. I mean, they were making $50 million, but it would take them 3 years to give you a Patriot missile. I said, that's not good. My chauffeur can do a better job than that, and he makes slightly less than 50. They make big salaries. If they're going to make those big salaries, they're going to have to produce a lot faster. The good news is we have the greatest equipment in the world. Now we're going to start making it a lot faster. They're going to build additional plants. And all of the money that goes into stock buybacks is going to go into building plants. We're not allowing stock buybacks by defense companies any longer. They're going to build new plants to make Tomahawks, Patriots. We have the best equipment, F-35s. F-47, the new one just coming out. They say it's the most devastating plane, fighter jet ever. Who knows? They called it 47. If I don't like it, I'm going to take the 47 off it. I wonder why they called it 47. We'll have to think about that. But if I don't like it, I'm going to take that 47 off. But it's supposed to be the Stage 6. It's supposed to be the first Stage 6 plane, undetectable, like our B-2 bombers were undetectable. They flew right over Iran. They were undetectable. And they did their job, and they got the hell out of there. So we want a piece of ice for world protection, and they won't give it. We've never asked for anything else, and we could have kept that piece of land, and we didn't. So they have a choice. You can say yes, and we will be very appreciative, or you can say no, and we will remember. A strong and secure America means a strong NATO. And that's one reason why I'm working every day to ensure our military is very powerful, our borders are very strong, and above all, our economy is strong because national security requires economic security and economic prosperity, and we have the greatest that we've ever had. Biden and his allies destroyed our economy and gave us perhaps the worst inflation in American history. They say 48 years, I say forever, but I think 48 years is the equivalent to forever. Whether it's 48 years or ever, it's terrible, costing the typical family $33,000. What they did to this country should never, ever be forgotten. It's early, but he has to be rated as the worst president we've ever had by far. The auto pen did much of the damage. The auto pen, he was the auto pen president, because I don't believe a sane president would have ever signed the kind of things that he signed. But now grocery prices, energy prices, airfares, mortgage rates, rent, and car payments are all coming down, and they're coming down fast. We inherited a mess, but we've done a hell of a job in 12 months. Under my most favored nation policy for drug prices, the cost of prescription drugs is coming down by up to 90%, depending on the way you calculate. You could also say 5, 6, 7, 800%. There are two ways of figuring that. But we have a favored nations policy that every president wanted, no president was able to get. I got it, and other nations approved it. And I had to use tariffs in order to get it because they said, no way. In other words, a pill that cost 10% in London costs $130. Think it costs $10 in London, costs $130 in New York or in Los Angeles. And I'd say, boy, that's bad. Friends of mine would say, you know, we go to London, you can buy the stuff for nothing. We go all over the world, we can buy it for nothing. Because basically America was subsidizing every nation in the world because presidents allowed them to get away with it. It became very tough. So when I called up Emmanuel Macron, I watched him yesterday with those beautiful sunglasses. What the hell happened? But I watched him sort of be tough. But he was at $10 for a pill. And I said, Emmanuel, and I have all the big pharmaceutical companies are in total agreement. It wasn't easy, by the way. They're tough, smart. They've been getting away with the scam for a long time. But they gave it up. But they said, you'll never get the countries to approve it. I said, why is that? Because they won't. They always said, we're not paying any more. Get the rest for the United States. So over the years, they stayed the same. We just went up, up, up. And I mean, we would pay 13, 14, 15 times more than certain countries would. So I said, no, they'll approve it 100%. Sir, you'll never get them to approve it. I said, I guarantee you. But I actually started with Emmanuel, who probably is in the room too. And I like him. I actually like him. Hard to believe, isn't it? And I said, Emmanuel, you're going to have to lift the price of that pill to $20, maybe $30. Think of that. That means it's a doubling of prescription drugs. Might be a tripling, might be a quadrupling. It's not easy. No, 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 Donald, I will not do that. I said, yes, you will, 100%. He said, no, no, no. You're asking me to double. I said, Emmanuel, you've been taking advantage of the United States for 30 years with prescription drugs. You really should do it, and you will do it. I have no doubt. In fact, I am 100% sure you're going to. No, 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 I will not do it. Because, yes, in all fairness to him, he has to double or triple. Because the world being a bigger place than the United States, it's not that you meet in the middle. You just have to go up some, and we come down a lot. They go up a little, we come down a lot. So we're at $130, they're at 10. So they may have to go to 20 or 30. No more than that. I said, Emmanuel, you're going to be doubling or tripling? No, no, no. I said, here's the story, Emmanuel. The answer is you're going to do it. You're going to do it fast. And if you don't, I'm putting a 25% tariff on everything that you sell into the United States and a 100% tariff on your wines and champagnes. And that's about 10 times more than what I'm requesting. And you're going to do it. I don't want to go public with it, but you may make me do that. No, no, Donald, I will do it. I will do it. It took me, on average, 3 minutes a country, saying the same thing. You will do it. They all said, no, 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 I will not do it. You're asking me to double the cost of prescription. I said, that's right, because you've been screwing us for 30 years. And they said, we will not do it. I said, that's all right. On Monday morning, we're putting a 25, 30, 50. I gave different numbers for different countries. This is also national security we're talking about. Not fair. We're not going to subsidize the whole world. And every one of those countries have agreed to do it. So one of the biggest things that I've done is the fact that we have now most favored nation. We will pay whatever the lowest price is in the entire world. So our drug prices are going to be coming down by staggering 90%. Again, you could say 1,000%, 2,000%. Depends on the way you want to figure it, but we'll go with the way the fake news likes it better because it sounds, can you imagine a 90% reduction sounds much worse. But drug prices are going to be coming down tremendously in all the nations, and I appreciate them doing it, but they did it. In all fairness, without tariffs, I wouldn't have been able to get it done. After declining $3,000 under Biden, real incomes are up in the United States by $2,000, $3,000, and even $5,000 and more. Home ownership has always been a symbol of health and vigor of American society, but that goal fell out of reach for millions and millions of people in the Biden era because interest rates went up so high. Today, I'm taking action to bring back this bedrock of the American dream. In recent years, Wall Street giants and institutional investment firms, many of you are here, many of you are good friends of mine, many of you are supporters. Sorry to do this to you, I'm so sorry. But you've driven up housing prices by purchasing hundreds of thousands of single-family homes, and it's been a great investment for them. Often as much as 10% of houses on the market. You know, the crazy thing is a person can't get depreciation on a house, but when a corporation buys it, they get depreciation. Okay, that's something we're going to have to think about too. I don't know if too many people think about that. You buy a corporation, they buy 500 houses, they buy hundreds of thousands, they buy 500 houses, they can take depreciation. A person sweats and works and buys one house, they can't. But homes are built for people, not for corporations, and America will not become a nation of renters. We're not going to do that. That's why I have signed an executive order banning large institutional investors from buying single-family homes. It's just not fair to the public. They're not able to buy a house. And I'm calling on Congress to pass that ban into permanent law, and I think they will. One of the biggest barriers to saving for a down payment has been surging credit card debt. The profit margin for credit card companies now exceeds 50%, one of the biggest. And they charge Americans interest rates of 28%, 30%, 31%, 32%. Whatever happened to usury? So to help our citizens recover from the Biden disaster, all caused by this horrible precedent, I'm asking Congress to cap credit card interest rates at 10% for 1 year. And this will help millions of Americans save for a home. They have no idea they're paying 28%. They go out there a little late in their payment and they end up losing their house. It's terrible. To unleash innovation in savings and financing, I'm also working to ensure America remains the crypto capital of the world. And to that end, last year, I signed the landmark Genius Act into law. Now Congress is working very hard on crypto market structure legislation, Bitcoin, all of them, which I hope to sign very soon, unlocking new pathways for Americans to reach financial freedom. And I did it for two reasons. Number one, I thought it was politically good, and it was. I got tremendous political support. But more importantly, China wanted that market too. It's just like they want the AI. And we've got that market, I think, pretty well locked up. If I didn't do it, you know, Biden was totally against it until before the election when they realized that, you know, there were millions of people voting against him over crypto. And all of a sudden they loved it very much, but it was too late. They blew it. But it is politically popular, but it's much more importantly, we have to make it so that China doesn't get the hold of it. And once they have that hold, we're not going to be able to get it back. So I'm honored to have done it. Finally, I've instructed government-backed institutions to purchase up to $200 billion in mortgage bonds to bring down interest rates. And I'll be announcing a new Fed chairman in the not-too-distant future. I think he'll do a very good job. See, I gave away some of it. He did give that away. So we have something, got something, but somebody that's very respected. They're all respected. They're all great. Everyone that I interviewed is great. Everyone could do, I think, a fantastic job. Problem is they change once they get the job. They do. You know, they're saying everything I want to hear, and then they get the job. They're locked in for 6 years. They get the job, and all of a sudden, let's raise rates a little bit. I call them, sir, we'd rather not talk about this. It's amazing how people change once they have the job. But it's too bad. Sort of disloyalty, but they got to do what they think is right. We have a terrible chairman right now. Jerome, too late Powell. He's always too late. And he's very late with interest rates, except before the election. He was just fine for the other side. So we're going to have somebody that's great, and we hope he does the right job. Last week, the average 30-year mortgage rate dropped below 6% for the first time in many years. Another major factor in driving up housing costs was the mass invasion of our borders. And I have to say one thing about housing, because nobody ever says this. I am very protective of people that already own a house, of which we have millions and millions and millions. And because we have had such a good run, the house values have gone up tremendously. And these people have become wealthy. They weren't wealthy, they become wealthy because of their house. And every time you make it more and more and more affordable for somebody to buy a house cheaply, you're actually hurting the value of those houses, obviously, because the one thing works in tandem with the other. And I don't want to do anything that's going to hurt the value of people that own a house, who for the first time in their lives are walking around the streets of whatever city they're in, very proud that their house is worth $500,000, $600,000, $700,000. Now, if I want to really crush the housing market, I could do that so fast that people could buy houses, but you would destroy a lot of people that already have houses. In some cases, they've mortgaged their house, and the mortgage would be very low, and all of a sudden the mortgage without any changes becomes very high, and they end up losing the house. I'm not going to hurt, and I speak with Scott, who's doing a fantastic job, and Howard, who's doing a fantastic job, and all of my people. And I always say, look, you know, I can crush the hell out of the market. We can drop interest rates to a level, and that's one thing we do want to do. That's natural. That's good for everybody. You know, the dropping of the interest rates, we should be paying a much lower interest rate than we are. We should be paying the lowest interest rate of any country in the world, because without the United States, you don't have a country. I mean, I had a case with Switzerland. We happened to be in Switzerland. Maybe I'll give you a quick story. But they were paying nothing. They make beautiful watches, great watches, Rolex, all of them. They were paying nothing to the United States when they sent their product in. And we had a $41 billion deficit. $41 billion with this beautiful place. Flew over it, isn't it nice? So I said, let's put a 30% tariff on them, so that we get back some of it, not all of it at all. We still have a deficit, big deficit. We had 41 million. That's a big deficit. And I said, let's put a tariff on. Different tariffs, different places. You're all party to them. In some cases, victims to them. But in the end, it's a fair thing. And most of you realize that. But we put a 30% tariff on Switzerland, and all hell broke loose. They were calling, I mean, like you wouldn't believe. And I know so many people from Switzerland, incredible place, incredible, brilliant place. But I didn't realize that they're only good because of us. And there's so many other examples. I mean, us, probably other places, but a majority of the money they make is because of us, because we never charged them anything. So they come in, they sell their watches, no tariffs, no nothing. They walk away, they make $41 billion on just us. So I said, no, we can't do that. So I'm going to bring it up. I still would have a deficit pretty substantial, but I brought it up to 30%. And I guess Prime Minister, I don't think President, I think Prime Minister called a woman, and she was very repetitive. She said, no, 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 you cannot do that, 30%. You cannot do that. We are a small, small country. I said, yeah, but you have a big, big deficit. You may be small, but you have a bigger deficit than big countries. He said, no, 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 please, you cannot do it. Kept saying the same thing over and over. We are a small country. I said, but you're a big country in terms of, and she just rubbed me the wrong way, I'll be honest with you. And I said, all right, thank you, ma'am, appreciate it. Do not do this. Thank you very much, ma'am. And I made it 39%. And then all hell really broke out. And I was paid visits by everybody. Rolex came to see me. They all came to see me. But I realized, and I reduced it, because I don't want to hurt people. I don't want to hurt them. And we brought it down to a, lower level. Doesn't mean it's not going up, but we brought it down to a lower level. But they pay now, tariff. But I realized that we have many places like that where they're making a fortune because of the United States. Without the United States, they wouldn't be making anything. Think of it. Switzerland made $41 billion on us. And as she said, it's a small place. And I realized with that, I don't know, it was so, because she was so aggressive. And I realized in that conversation that the United States is keeping the whole world afloat. Many places, I could give you 6, 7 places just in the people in this little area. I know every one of them. They're looking down. They don't want to see me. They don't want to stare me in the eyes. But they're taking advantage of, everybody took advantage of the United States. But I've been very fair, and I gave them a tariff, and it was fine. But I realized that without us, it's not Switzerland anymore. Without us, it's not any of the countries that are represented here. And we want to work with the countries. We want to work with them. We're not looking to destroy them. I could have said 39, 40%. I could have said I want a 70% tariff, then we make money with Switzerland. But Switzerland would have been probably destroyed, financially destroyed. I don't want to do that. But we should be paying the lowest interest rate of everybody. I hope Scott's listening to this, because we should be paying the lowest interest rate of everybody. Without us, most of the countries don't even work. And then you have the protection factor. Without our military, which is the greatest in the world by far, without our military, you have threats that you wouldn't believe. You wouldn't believe. You don't have threats because of us, and that's because of NATO. One other thing, and I have to say it so importantly, in the old days, and I used to say I'm the youngest in the room. Now I'm among the older. I hate to say it. I don't feel old, but I'm among the older. But I remember not long ago, 20, 25 years ago, when good news came out about, let's say, the United States. The United States had a great quarter. The United States had a great month. All the stocks went up. And that's the way it's supposed to be. Now when they say the United States had a record quarter, it's unbelievable how well it's doing, all the stocks crash because they say, oh no, inflation, they're going to raise interest rates. And they do. Some of these stupid people like Powell, they raise interest rates. And what they do is they stop you from being successful. It used to be when we had a great quarter, a great month, great earnings, great anything, any good news, the stock market went up. That's the way it's going to be. We got to do that again, because that's the way it should be. Now when we have a great month, they want to kill it. Like we did over 5%. People were surprised. We should do 20%. We could do 25%. When we announce good numbers, and the reason is they're so petrified of inflation. And growth doesn't mean inflation. We've had tremendous growth with very low inflation. In fact, growth can fight inflation, proper growth. So we want to get back to the days when we announce great numbers, because we're going to be announcing phenomenal. You know, all these factories that are being built at record, thousands of businesses are being built right now. Remember, $18 trillion is invested. I think the second number is 3. And that was China many years ago. Investments in the country from outside. 18 trillion, nobody's ever seen. And that's money coming in and building things, factories. Thousands of businesses are being built, thousands. Hundreds of big factories, car plants are moving back to the United States. They're coming in from Canada, they're coming in from Mexico, from Japan. Japan's coming in and building plants here in order to avoid tariffs. They're coming in from China. They're coming in from all over the world. We have more plants being built now, car plants, than we've ever had built, even in the heyday from the 1940s and 50s. And they're bigger. They don't use renovations anymore where they take an old plant, they rip it down, they build a brand new plant, super modern plant. But it's happening at levels that nobody's ever seen. In 2024, the U.S. built less than 2 million new homes, but Biden admitted more than 8 million new migrants. And those days are over. In 2025, for the first time in 50 years, the United States had reverse migration. Boy, that was nice. And these were criminals that were being taken out of our country because they allowed people to come into our country from jails, from gangs, drug dealers, murderers. 11,888 murderers, we've gotten most of them out. And then ICE gets beat up by stupid people from leadership in Minnesota. We actually are helping Minnesota so much, but they don't appreciate it. Most places do. You know, Washington, D.C. is the safest place now in the United States. It was a very dangerous place to walk, and now you can walk with your wife, your kids, right through the middle of the city. Right now, Washington, D.C. is as safe as it gets. It was one of the most unsafe, I had to admit. We sent in the military, the National Guard. Within 2 months, it was great. Within 3 months, it's like a really great place and a safe place and a beautiful place. It's even been cleaned up. The graffiti's gone. The fences are gone. We don't have to worry about fences anymore. All of the places, the grasses are cut and replaced with new grass in many cases. It's all going to happen in the spring. But Washington and D.C. is beautiful again, and it's safe. New restaurants are opening up. They were all closing. Now you can't get into a restaurant. Restaurants in Washington, D.C. are all opening. Memphis also, Memphis, Tennessee, New Orleans, Louisiana. We're there for 3 weeks. We've cut the crime down by 64%. Within another month, we'll have virtually no crime there. We can do that all over. We're going to help the people in California. We want to have no crime. I know Gavin was here. I used to get along so great with Gavin when I was president. Gavin's a good guy. And we're going to, if he needed it, I would do it in a heartbeat. I'd love to see. We did help them a lot in Los Angeles, a lot with the early in my term when they had some problems. But we would love to do it. I will say this, if I were a Democrat governor or whatever, I would call up Trump. I'd say, come on in, make us look good, because we're cutting crime down to nothing. And we're taking people out, career criminals who are only going to do bad things, and we're bringing them back to their countries. But where we've done it, it's been amazing. And we have a capacity to do it at much greater levels. We're cutting illegal aliens off welfare and other government benefits, and I have directed that starting immediately, there will be no more payments to sanctuary cities because they are really just sanctuaries for criminals. They're really protecting criminals, and those are the ones we have to get out of the country. Murderers, drug dealers, the mentally insane. They emptied their mental institutions into the United States. And despite that, we have the lowest crime numbers that we've ever had in the history of the country. Just came out. But equally importantly, we're cracking down on more than $19 billion in fraud that was stolen by Somalian bandits. Can you believe that they turned out to be higher IQ than we thought? I always say these are low IQ people. How did they go into Minnesota and steal all that money? And we have, they're pirates, they're good pirates, right? But we shoot them out of the water just like we shoot the drug boats out. They're not pirating too many boats lately, do you notice? When they go out into those boats, they want to take over $1.5 billion tanker loaded up with oil, and they say, we're going to blow up your boat. They have powerful weapons. You hit the side of the boat, you blow the whole thing up. The insurance companies are petrified, so they say, just give them the boat, we'll give them money instead. And I don't do that. We blow them right the hell out of the water. We see them going out, we blow them out of the water. We don't have any pirates so much anymore. If we do, they won't be there long. We've cut down with the hitting of the boats that are loaded up with drugs, including submarines. Can you believe they actually buy small, they call them mini subs, very fast. They're meant for drugs. We've knocked out 2 of them. The Democrats say they were fishing. You have ruined somebody's fishing weekend, I would say. A submarine is not a fishing boat. You don't fish. But we've knocked down drugs by water, the oceans, the sea, by 97.2%. Think of that. And I actually say, who the hell are the 3%? Because I would not want to be piloting one of those boats. We knocked them down, and now we're going to start on land. We're going to knock it all out. The land is the easy part. What we did on sea is incredible, and that's our great military. The situation in Minnesota reminds us that the West cannot mass import foreign cultures which have failed to ever build a successful society of their own. I mean, we're taking people from Somalia And Somalia is a failed, it's not a nation. Got no government, got no police, got no military, got no nothing. And then we have this fake congressperson who they just reported is worth $30 million. You believe this? Ilhan Omar, talking about the Constitution provides me. She comes from a country that's not a country, and she's telling us how to run America. Not going to get away with it much longer, let me tell you. The explosion of prosperity and conclusion and progress that built the West did not come from our tax codes. It ultimately came from our very special culture. This is the precious inheritance that America and Europe have in common. We share it. We share it, but we have to keep it strong. We have to become stronger, more successful, and more prosperous than ever. We have to defend that culture and rediscover the spirit that lifted the West from the depths of the Dark Ages to the pinnacle of human achievement. We live in an incredible, changing period. It's an unbelievable time, but we have to take advantage of the time that we're in. In our hands are technologies that our ancestors could scarcely have. I mean, they couldn't have even dreamt some of the things that we see today. And so rapidly they're produced. I mean, AI, 2 years ago, nobody ever heard of the term, and now everybody's talking about it. And it can have some very good purpose. It could also have some dangerous purpose, and for that we have to watch out. But some tremendous things are happening because of it. And we're leading by so much. We're doing so well. But opportunities that are bigger and grander than ever before in human history are right before us. It is the pioneers in this room. Many of you in this room are true pioneers. You're truly brilliant people. Just your ability to get a ticket is brilliant because you have about 50 people for every seat. I don't know what, that's Larry. Everything Larry touches turns to gold. He made this very successful. But you're in this room, and some of you are the greatest leaders anywhere in the world. You're the greatest brains anywhere in the world. And the future is unlimited, and to a large part because of you, and we have to protect you, and we have to cherish you. I always say we have to cherish our brilliant people because there aren't many of them. So together with confidence, boldness, and persistence, let us lift up our people, grow our economies, defend our shared destiny, and build a future for our citizens that is more ambitious, more exciting, more inspiring, and greater than the world has ever seen. We're in a position to do things that nobody else has ever even thought of before. And many of the people in this room are the ones that are doing it, and I want to congratulate you, and I'm with you all the way. You can do things that nobody else can even think about. So I congratulate you on your tremendous success. And the United States is back, bigger, stronger, better than ever before. And I'll see you around. Thank you all very much. Thank you very much. Thank you.
This was supposed to be a nice fire chat, Mr. President.
Yes, good. I got set up. No, I did know.
You made the job for the moderator really easy. Thank you, Mr. President, for your speech. I do have a few follow-up questions, if it's okay. Sure. I don't think I should start with Greenland, maybe. I'll start with the economy. The U.S. economy is doing really, really well. But how to sustain this growth moving forward? Because there's always a recession looming around the corner.
Well, you know, the one thing about economies and recessions is sometimes you get hit unexpectedly and there's nothing you can do about it. All brilliant people, but there's nothing. One example was COVID. We had an economy going at levels like nobody had ever seen my first 2.5, 3 years. And then I heard the word pandemic, not COVID. They came up with that name over a period of time. We won't get into that. But I heard the word pandemic. And I had a poll come out that was so strong just prior to that, and I was with the two best pollsters, McLaughlin and Fabrizio, and they said, sir, George Washington and Abraham Lincoln, if they came back and ran as president and vice president, they couldn't beat you. And then what happened is the following day, I was told to stay tuned because there's something really bad happening in China. There are bodies laying all over Wuhan, right around that certain building that we talk about. I always said it came from Wuhan. It did come from Wuhan. And they were body bags. We saw it by satellite. And they said, there are strange things happening in China. And so it began. And we ended up with the COVID, and the whole world suffered. We did a phenomenal job. I don't think we got the credit we deserved. We did something that Operation Warp Speed, which some people say was one of the greatest military feats ever. We did a great job. Used our military, used a lot of people. But sometimes you get hit with things, nothing you can do. You get hit with things like that unexpectedly. And we got through it. And when I left, the stock market was higher than it was previous to the COVID coming up. And that was, I called it a great achievement. But things happen, bad things happen. The things that we can stop are wars if we're smart. That we can stop. Those are a matter of being intelligent and having intelligent people on the other side, because wars are the worst of all. Wars are worse than anything. But we can stop wars because that's sort of up to us. But things like dust flying in the air, wherever COVID comes from or whatever comes, sometimes you have to be a little bit lucky. But we are poised to have an economy like no other, not only in this country, but anywhere. And you know, when you hear the kind of numbers that I can tell you that Scott Bessent was with me the other day, and he's looking at numbers. He said, I can't. And that's all he's done his whole life, pretty much your whole life. Scott, you weren't going to be a football player, I don't think. Scott was not that great at football, but he was always good at numbers, right? And he was looking at numbers. He said, I've never seen anything like this. We're poised to do things that no other country has ever done. And, you know, luck, I hate to say it, but we need a little luck. We don't want to get hit by something that nobody could have thought. Whoever thought we were going to hit by a pandemic? You know, when I heard the word pandemic, I said, oh, that's an ancient problem. World War I, they lost 100 million people. It actually ended World War I. A lot of people don't know. The Spanish flu in World War I ended the war because all the soldiers were sick. The soldiers were so sick on both sides, and that war was raging, and they were all dying from the Spanish flu. They were sick as dogs. They couldn't fight. So, you know, you don't know how that would have turned out. But so we do, I mean, subject to that, and I always have to put a caveat in for it, but we're poised to have the greatest growth of any large country, I think any country that there's been. When you look at what's happening in the United States, it's really amazing.
Thank you. One thing that maybe keeps you up at night, I know you don't sleep that much anyway, Mr. President, is the debt. The U.S. debt is high, is now the biggest expenditure on your budget. How to get out of that impasse?
Well, the big thing is growth. I mean, growth is the way. If we grow like this, we go from having a $37 trillion. We go from having high debt to low debt. But we also are cutting expenses, you know, the old-fashioned way. We have extraordinary growth. I think we're going to be growing our way out. I think we're going to be paying off debt. We're taking in tremendous money from tariffs fairly. And again, I'm using them judiciously. You know, Switzerland's a case study. I could have gotten much more. I could have asked for much more. But we're using them judiciously. But I think growth, most importantly, and then cutting costs. Now, if you take a look at Minnesota, $19 billion in fraud and other things. People going to airports, they came into the country, they don't have 10 cents, and they're leaving with hundreds of thousands of cash in their bags. When we get to that, and our DOJ, Pam, and Todd, and all the people that work over there, and all of the people that work in here, I can tell you, Scott Bessent is working on that. It's a priority, right? You have your whole team. We're in there looking for where this money is coming from, how much it is. It could be more than $19 billion. Can you believe that? That's just one state. if we were able to cut out 50% of the fraud, 50%, and we should be able to do better than that, we would have a balanced budget without having to talk about even growth. So we have a lot of options, but we're working very hard on that. That's a big deal. It's not just the protests, the fake protests done by agitators and, professional insurrectionists. That's what they are. They're professional troublemakers. But we are looking very strong at the money, too, in Minnesota and other places.
I think, Mr. President, also the $500 billion invested in artificial intelligence and the frontier technologies last year also were driving growth exponentially in the U.S.
Well, AI has been a big factor. AI is massive. I mean, Mark Zuckerberg showed me a plant where he put it over a map of Manhattan, and it was basically the size of Manhattan. This is not, I said, you got to be kidding. It's a plant that was miles long, miles wide, very high. I don't think it was high like the Empire State Building, but it was high. And it literally covered most of the island of Manhattan. That's called a big plant. And, when I heard they're going to spend $50 billion building it, I said, if you spend $50 million, you can build a nice little shopping center. If you spend $500 million, you can build a good shopping center. But how do you spend $50 billion? When I looked at this thing, I said, you think you'll be able to do it for that? It's amazing when, some of the plants that I see, and I see them all, and again, so big as we're letting them build their own electric generation. This way we have no problem, and otherwise they'd be complaining. There'd be nobody able to be, we have an old grid system. And not only that, they're going to sell at a very cheap price the excess electricity that they create back into our grid. So that'll solve some problems for certain states that don't have enough electricity.
We also know that on the AI, there is fierce competition between the U.S. as the largest economy in the world, 27% of the global GDP and 5% of the global population, not doing that badly, and China. And we know that competition is very tough on AI. I know you're heading to a state visit to China in April. How do you see the U.S.-China relationship moving forward? Are you able to combine this tough competition with also collaboration?
So I've always had a very good relationship with President Xi and with President Putin. Talk about, the larger powers. But I've always had a very good relationship with President Xi of China. He's an incredible man. What he's done is amazing. He's highly respected by everybody. And I do now. I mean, now I have good. It was very severely interrupted by COVID. I used to call it the China virus, but he said, do you think you could use a different name? And I decided to do that because why should we have a problem over that? But I would do that, and they were.
You're a true diplomat, huh?
I became a diplomat for the first time. Well, who taught me that? Marco Rubio. He said, let me teach you about diplomacy. Hey, any guy that gets approved by 100% of the votes, think of it, he got liberal Democrats and radical right Republicans to approve him. He's the only one. The next one was lost 45 votes, right? But he got all 100 votes voting for him. And at first I wasn't happy about it. I said, wait a minute, I don't like that. And now it turns out that the Democrats probably wish they didn't do that. And Marco has been fantastic. Marco, stand up, please. You have done a great job as Secretary of State. He's going to go down as the best Secretary of State. And Scott, and we have Susie, who's the first female Chief of Staff, and she's the best Chief of Staff, too. And I see Howard Lutnick, who I know spoke, and Howard's fantastic. Some of the deals we're doing are great. And I want to pay particular attention because we have Chris. And Chris, you got up and spoke, I think. He's the #1 oil man in the world because I was going to put Doug Burgum, who's fantastic. I don't know if Doug's here. Is Doug here? Doug Burgum is fantastic. He said, sir, there's one man better than me. And he introduced me to Chris. And he turns out to be. So we're drilling more oil and gas now than we ever have by almost double. Is that right, Chris? And on top of it, we get a lot coming out of Venezuela. So anyway, so we're doing great. The country is just doing great. We have great people. Thank you. And I see other people. We have Steve Witkoff. We have Jared. I got so many people. I'm in trouble because when I go back, they're going to be people with long faces. Sir, you didn't introduce me. I got so many people, and we have a lot of the greatest people anywhere in the world. I know them all. So I won't continue because we'd be here all day.
Thank you, Mr. President. We also know that you're a deal maker, and then maybe coming back to Greenland and Ukraine. What kind of deal in the end do you see between the U.S. And Denmark? Because, you know, I guess you see it now as a negotiation going on, or?
Well, it's costing Denmark hundreds of millions a year to run it. And Denmark's a small country and wonderful people. But, you know, it's very expensive. It's a very big piece of ice. And it's very important. I mean, I don't want to repeat the speech, but it's very important that we use that for national and international security. That can create a power that will make it impossible for the bad guys to do anything against the perceived good ones. And it's a great block for Europe, just like, you know, Denmark was supposed to spend hundreds of millions of dollars. They didn't spend the money. They didn't spend anything, almost. And we'll see what happens. I just say this. NATO has treated the United States of America very unfairly. We never asked for anything. We never got anything. We actually took care of the needs of NATO for years and years, which I felt was always unfair. So I got NATO to pay because they're rich countries. But I think it's time that NATO step up. We're helping them with Ukraine. Without us, I think Putin would have gone all the way. I think we have it. I think that could have been a World War III, if you want to know the truth. If Kamala was elected, or Joe, any one of those, you know, those thinkers, I think you could have ended up in World War III. And I will say Steve Witkoff has been dealing incredibly with, but we're not going to have World War III. We want to get it stopped, but we're not going to have World War III. I think if I wasn't elected, I think that could have evolved into World War III. It was a very, very bad situation, and it still is, but it's not that kind of bad. It's bad because so many young people are being killed.
How close do you think there is on an agreement on Ukraine? I had the pleasure of speaking with Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner yesterday. I know they're working hard on it. I know that they're also traveling now. Do you see this very close or still?
Well, I hate to say it. I thought that was going to be, so I settled 8 wars plus. And I thought that was going to be one of my easier ones. Not the easiest. Some I settled in a matter of hours because I'm good at that stuff. You know, the United Nations should be doing this. I shouldn't be doing it, but it doesn't matter. It's got to get done, saving a lot of lives. We're saving millions of lives. With Ukraine, Russia, there's tremendous hatred between President Zelensky and President Putin. That's not good. That's not good for settlements. We know from dealing. There's abnormal hatred. With that being said, I think Russia wants to make a deal. I think Ukraine wants to make a deal. And we're going to try getting a deal done. We're getting, I think, Steve, I think I can say that we're reasonably close. But what happens is oftentimes we'll have a deal with Russia. Russia's set, and President Zelensky will not do it. You saw that when he was in the Oval Office. I was not happy. And then we'll have President Zelensky wants to make a deal, and Putin doesn't want to make the deal. It's a very difficult balance, and it's big time, and it is, you know, to use a word, it's a bloodbath. It's horrible what's happening. It's a drone war. The drones are killing, you know, thousands of people a week, thousands. We have to get it stopped. So I believe they're at a point now, I'm going to meet with President Zelensky later today. I believe they're at a point now where they can come together and get a deal done. And if they don't, they're stupid. That goes for both of them. And I know they're not stupid. But if they don't get this done, they are stupid. So I don't want to insult anyone, but you got to get this deal done. Too many people are dying. It's not worth it.
President Sisi is sitting on the first row here. He spoke earlier today and also complimented you on the Gaza deal. I think there will be a signing tomorrow. Of course, there are different views on this, but how important do you think this signing is on the Board of Peace? And do you think this is going to sustain? Do you think we now will see Gaza reconstructed and the billions of US dollars invested?
I do. I mean, I think we have peace in the Middle East. There are some little situations like Hamas, and Hamas has agreed to give up their weapons. Now, you know, they were born with a weapon in their hand, so it's not easy to do. When they were born with a rifle in their hand. It's not an easy thing for them, but that's what they agreed to. They've got to do it. And we're going to know, Jared, over the next 2 or 3 days, certainly over the next 3 weeks, whether or not they're going to do it. If they don't do it, they'll be blown away very quickly. They'll be blown away. You know, we have 59 countries that are part of that whole peace deal. And some of those countries aren't even they're near the Middle East, but they're not in the Middle East traditionally. And they want to come in and take out Hamas. They want to come in. They want to do whatever they can. There's a problem with Hezbollah in Lebanon, and we'll see what happens there, but that's a problem. But there are these little flames, but there's peace in the Middle East. Now, had we not gone in and knocked out with those big, beautiful, we just ordered 25 brand new ones, the latest and the greatest, the B-2 bomber. Think of them, they went in there at 2 o'clock in the morning with no moon, no light, no nothing, and every single one of those massive bombs hit its target, 100,000-pound bombs hit its target, every one of them. And then on top of it, from a submarine 300 miles away, we hit the sites with tomahawks, which is an unbelievable weapon. So, you know, we did our job. If we didn't do that, you would have never had peace in the Middle East. And the countries like Saudi Arabia, UAE, and Qatar could never have, and others could never have signed anything because you would have had this dark cloud, and the dark cloud was Iran with nuclear. Iran would, if we didn't take them out, they would have had a nuclear weapon within 2 months. They were very close to having the nuclear weapon, and we hit them hard. And it was a total obliteration. If they may try again, but they're going to have to try from a different area because that area was obliterated. Incredible thing we did. And because we did that, we were able to make peace. If we didn't do that, I would say, Jared and Steve, if we didn't do that, there was no chance of making peace because the countries I just named and other countries could have never signed off. They were afraid. They were afraid. We had a bully. The bully was Iran, the bully of the Middle East. They used to call it for years. They were the bully of the Middle East. They're not the bully of the Middle East anymore.
Mr. President, I know you even had to change plane last night, so I guess you didn't have much sleep, but I think but your energy is still there. I know you have several bilateral meetings. I know you're also hosting a reception. So thank you so much for coming back to Davos. Thank you so much. It's highly appreciated.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, he told him. I've seen parts of it. There's edited versions from mainstream media, and then there's other versions from other people on the left, right, whatever. But he basically, from my perspective, he's saying this is what you could do, and if you don't, you're probably going to go down. And I really foresee that. I'm hoping that's the case and Pam gets off her butt and actually goes after a legislator or judiciary or, you know, somebody that's like an Adam Schiff person or a Mitch McConnell person or even a Lindsey Graham who's been freaking a lapdog hanging around with Trump. Like, I mean, the guy's licking his nuts. I mean, it's pretty obvious. I think what we need to take away from this meeting is that they're going to start to dissipate, and it's and they know it. I know it. I'm glad for it. The only thing that could really make it an absolute fact of that is if the rhinos and the corrupt part of the Republican Party could get their shit together and nuke the filibuster and then get the SAVE Act going and get some other things that are really needed. It's just the duopoly is still there. Let's just not let's not pretend it's not there, because it's there. You know, you have Mike Johnson and some others that they're sending money to other foreign countries, millions and millions or whatever dollars. And it's just getting ridiculous at this point. I mean, we're at the point now where we see it. We see the corruption. We see the felonies, the charges, the treasonous acts. Everything's just pretty much exposed. If you're not paying attention, obviously you're on the left or somewhere there, and you're not understanding what's really happening. And I've been trying to explain a lot of this for a long time. There was a person that used to be on the show. She was probably one of the greatest investigative journalists that I've ever worked with. I was married to her. Her name was Stevie, with Stephanie King with Redneck Economics. Just an amazing investigative journalist. Did some really good stuff together. Things didn't work out. Things happen. It's just the way things go sometimes, you know. I forgive. Hopefully she does too. Forgetting is the hard part, of course, but I think she's inside deep somewhere. She wants to do what's best for her kids, for herself, most of all, and make sure that she's going to be okay. I pray for her. I really do. I hope that she's fine. I hope she's doing well. But I know that she has the ability to attract people. She's gorgeous. And she's also just a gift of gab. And that Southern Belle accent is just, it's mind-numbing. Yeah, no, I miss her. I think a lot of us do too. But the thing is whatever's stopping her, I don't know what it is, but I mean, she was on the other day. She was driving her car up something, the road. I don't know what was going on, but she couldn't get the connection well. I mean, if she needs help or something, all she has to do is reach out and ask. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people that would help her. I might even do a little something. I mean, like I said, I'm a very forgiving person. I'm a very tolerant person. At my size and my I'm 280, 275, 280 now. When I left West Virginia, I was 330 pounds. It was freaking crazy. But I've lost some weight. I'm doing a lot of, exercises and just taking care of myself, eating better and stuff like that. And it's making a strong difference. I'm just telling you. The other thing is there are a lot of people out there that just aren't getting what's happening, and the psyop and the mass formation psychosis and everything they've put us through and put you through and put you into these positions. I was just watching Leonardi Joni, while I was eating my favorite dish, which is thighs and cream of celery with rice and soy sauce. Of course, it's just my favorite. I got to make that every once in a while. I try not to eat that too much, but that every once in a while I got to have some. But she was saying some pretty caring, dignified, and humbling things. Like, there are people out there that have been taken over by this, that have been psyoped. I talked about in 2020, I was going over all the people that were getting divorces. That's what they wanted to do. They want people to stay 6 feet apart. They wanted nobody to contact each other. They want people to go through mass depression. They were cheering this stuff on, and sure enough, some people, were putting themselves out there. I would say, there were some wonderful relationships that were out there probably in 2020, 2021 that were just great, strong, just loving relationships. And then this COVID shit came around, Fluvid-19, I call it. And a lot of those people just couldn't get past that psyop. I for one, fell into it a little bit. But I'm a little, I don't know. I've tried to get hypnotized. I've been to several shows where they have these hypnotized people, and I've seen it firsthand. They can actually hypnotize people. I can't. For some reason, it just doesn't break me. But some people can get pretty easily swayed. They can get easily psyoped. They can easily get tempted. They can easily get manipulated. You know, it's not that they're meek, malleable, obedient, compliant, whatever the case is. It just happens. And I didn't see the signs. You know, I really thought that there was a time where things were moving in the right direction. A few things, obstacles. Finances always mess up, relationships. And sometimes that'll be a factor. But when you have all these other factors and all these other hurdles and all these other different, what do you call them? Negative issues that come into the world from many different directions, especially with COVID-19. It doesn't help, because if you're on kind of a shaky, and you're in a shaky spot, it's just going to make it worse. And a lot of people got screwed over back in those days. And I know now that a lot of those people that were on this side or that side of the fence, whatever the case may be, or how they were broken up, whatever, I'm sure they've made amends. I would guarantee that at least out of the 100% that just got divorced or had problems or whatever the case may be, lost relationships, they've came together, back together, and they've said, hey, look, shit happened. It's time to keep pushing. You know, let's do the learning experience. You know, I went through hell. You went through hell. Let's get back to where heaven is. You know, where heaven starts to come in. And you know, I'm not super religious. I'm just not. But I am a Christian, and I do believe in God, and I am. And I think that once you start to bring God into your life, it helps. It's a definite benefacting, whether, you know, whatever your religion is. But mainly for me, it's kind of kept me grounded, you know, because like I've got a Bible next to my head when I sleep, and I got one next to me when I'm playing games and watching videos, and you know, and whatever I'm doing, I've always got a Bible next to me, because I really believe that you have to have some. There's got to be a little faith in there. I mean, you like a great example is Mendoza. You know, Fernando, was that ABBA song or something? I keep thinking of that ABBA song of Fernando when I think of Fernando Mendoza. But that kid is religious. He always gives, you know, he always says, you know, thank God, you know, all glory goes to God. And what I look at when I think about that, because the prayer that I used with my kids, and I know that people know this because I do it, you know, God is good, God is great. Thank you for the food. We love our family, we love our friends, we'll be together forever. Amen. You know, and I always say this very, very important part in regards to religion is sometimes you don't have faith in yourself. That's it. You just don't. You sometimes you're just like, I just don't have the faith that I used to have, and the motivation and all this other stuff. So give it to God. Just let him sort it out for you. Let him, or whatever it is, sort it out for you. And at a certain point, that kind of relieves you of you having to do it. In other words, it kind of gives you a freedom that you probably never had before. And that's why it's important for me to where, you know, I have my primal self. Look, I see a woman, she's got a figure, I get excited, that's normal, I gotta go to the bathroom, that's primal self. And then there's the cognitive self, or the now self, they call it. There's 3 selves in Huna, in Hawaii, where you and I are talking, things are happening in real time, we're in that moment. And then there's the high self, which is, you know, everything's connecting, everything's working good, you're feeling great. Spirits are with you, whatever the case may be. And you just feel like you've got it, things are working out. Things are doing really well. But then there's that other side, and it's like a tetrahedron. I call it like a tetrahedron, which is a 4-sided triangle, which is probably one of the most stable and dangerous objects on the planet. No matter how you put it, it lands. I mean, they used to use the ninjas used to use tetrahedrons to get away from their people that were chasing after them. You know, they'd throw them on the ground, and there were spikes. They were just tetrahedron spikes, and they'd throw them on the ground. They would always land with that one point up. And that's the thing, is that one point up is pointing to the sky. Is that one side, that force side that says, I can't see behind me. I can't see what's going on around me, but I just gotta just get it off my shoulder and give it to God. And then I can move forward. And then I can do the things I need to do. Because, I mean, at work, there's certain things I can't, I mean, I'm in charge of, in a sense, over 50 people at work. I have a lot of responsibility that I have to make sure that these kids at this college are being taken care of. They're eating well. We get about 1,500. There's 2 dining halls at this college. And I got to make sure everybody's safe, eating well, quality food. Everybody's fine, doing well. There's napkins, silverware, food's coming out on time. It's being cooked correctly. We got to check temperatures. We got to make sure everything's done correctly. We got to follow, state guidelines, federal guidelines, company guidelines. And it's good. I think a lot of food that we do serve, honestly, is not that great because there's a lot of processed foods out there. I'm really concerned about that with these kids. And we need to bring back tallow. But there's certain things I just can't control. So I have to give it to God because I can only do so much that day or at that moment to fix what's happening. I'll do everything I can to make it work, to put it together, to make it. But then at that one point, I just got to go, I'm giving it my best, God. I'm giving it my best. So it's in your hands now. That's where it's at. And sometimes things come out well, and sometimes things come out not too well. But for me, they're all learning experiences. If you're not, like my grandfather used to tell me, he said, Jim, if you're not learning anything, you're dead. Well, that fucking makes sense. Thank you, Grandpa. I mean, the guy was a brilliant man. But I think if we look back and we see how things have evolved in regards to the World Economic Forum, Chatham House, the EU, just so many things, the British Empire, there's so many factors, there's so many different villains out there. BlackRock, Larry Flynn, Bill Gates, Klaus Schwab, Yuval Harari. I mean, the names can go on. And then all the saboteurs like John Thune and Mitch McConnell and Adam Schiff and just these, and Nancy Pelosi. I mean, I could go on and on and on for days for all these people that are just real shit. But then there's also that side that actually believe in Jesus, believe in God, believe in Christ, whatever. But they really think they're doing right for the actual betterment of man in the nuclear family, which I think is huge. Like I said, if you know what, let me grab that real quick, see if I got it. I was just watching it. Angelina, it's not Angelina, it's
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. I guess we don't have enough seats today. Wow.
The who's who of people, they don't have seats. Fucking ridiculous. Okay, I think I just had it. Oh, come on, man. I mean, I saved it on a Montauk. Let's see if it'll bring it up. I actually had tickets to go see her show. And then I had to, the next day, go to a seminar out in Phoenix. And I flew out there. And there's no way I would have went out to the show when it finished at 11:30, 12 o'clock at night, and then be able to get up to get to a flight at 7 o'clock in the morning to fly out to Phoenix and get up like 3 or 4 hours later. I just wasn't going to risk it. So I actually turned the tickets in, but I can't. If that girl's ever around here again, I'm gonna see her because she's fucking just. Oh, well, look at this, Fernando. I'll just look it up. Leonardi Joni. She's gorgeous. Reminds me of somebody. But she's also just funnier shit. Her stuff is just brilliant. But the thing that she was talking about in here, which I thought was just
welcome
wonderful.
to the show, everybody. On today, darling, and I just got to say, seriously,
Hubert, he passed away.
What to think? Okay, there's a lot of people online who say these horrible things like, "Oh, if you're still leftist, you deserve what you get, and if you took the vaccine, you deserve to die." And it's like, this isn't helpful, guys. You have to understand the mega levels of brainwashing and propaganda that these people have been subject to. Even Miss Renee Good, who I'm not even making excuses for, and I'm not up there being like, oh, this poor woman. It's like, it is in a way, it's this poor woman. This poor woman has been so psyoped, she became a lesbian. Don't tell me, oh, people are born lesbians. Some guys might be born gay. No women are born lesbians, okay? It takes a whole lot of trauma and feminist propaganda telling them to hate men day in and day out for them to finally be like, you know what, I prefer a twat.
Okay.
Cut it out. Okay, I'm a woman. You got to have a bit of compassion, and you got to remember that there's a lot of people who are hurting because their family members have been taken from them in one way or another. Whether it's because they were psyoped enough to take this effing clot shot and it gave them turbo cancer, or they've been so psyoped that they won't even talk to their family.
The idea that they could not be a part of my life at all became something that seemed possible.
So did you reach a point where you felt if I don't comply, then they don't love me unless I'm complying?
That's right. Yeah, I would say I'm not accepted unless I'm complying.
It's pretty horrible. A lot of people still love these people. They remember who they are. They remember what they are to them, and they've been taken from them
correct,
by a complete psyop. This is exactly what happened in communism. This is what happened in Russia. You had parents turning in their children to the state. Do you understand what kind of psychosis you have to have? Humans for thousands of years willing to die and kill for their children are turning them into the state because they don't have the right vocabulary around a subject. They dare to have wrongthink. That's sad. We should all be grieving. Nobody's a winner. Even, you got to get this, even if the right wins, even if we win and we get our nation back and we get our country back and we get people back, it was a huge cost and sacrifice that has happened.
I agree.
Because people have lost people they love. And those people they love no longer even exist. And it's worse because it's not like they just died. They're still in body. They're hurting themselves through this ideology. So saying this stuff, it's not really helpful. Okay? It doesn't mean we have to allow these people to keep doing this. It's not compassionate to be like, oh, I love this person, so I'm not going to correct them. No. True compassion, true love is you correct people when they are on the wrong path. You take the slings and arrows that they're going to fire at you because you have wrong think. That's true compassion. Fake compassion is being like, I respect whatever identity you have. Here's a knife so you can chop off your penis because I love you. That's fake. That's easy. That's bullshit. Let's remember to like.
Yeah, I get that. The thing with me though, and I mean, I've got to say this because, I mean, out of my 3,000, I had like close to 3,700 Facebook friends. COVID came around and I started saying a different tune. I lost like hundreds of people, but there's still some lingering Democrats, Demoncratic supporters out there. And I'm at the point where I'm not even going to try anymore. I don't try. And the thing is I might, send a meme or something, but I mean, I think at this point, I don't know if she's on this, but she needs to understand, Leonardi, which you're beautiful, brilliant, funny comedian, just hilarious. They're done. There's nothing more you can do for them. It's Stockholm syndrome to the fullest degree. They want to be abused. They want to be assimilated. They want to be controlled. They want the communism. They want it's apparent. Who was that? was it Jackson Hinkle, just joined. I mean, we thought this guy was kind of there. He's doing okay. It was like more of kind of a, not a liberal, not a conservative, but more of a in-between, independent kind of guy. And then all of a sudden he went straight to the fucking Communist Party. Straight to the Communist Party. I mean, to the literal communists, because they said they were. I said, what? Why? I used to think of the collective thing, but in the way you work and move in this world, if you can't take care of yourself, how are you supposed to take care of a community of people? If you can become independent, that's what the Tea Party was so wonderful about. And then they were compromised, and I thought they were compromised by the Republicans, but they were just compromised by the duopoly. As Tucker Carlson had pointed out, and the real reason why he got fired was he started to expose the duopoly, and it's still there, part of the deep state, and it's still around. But the Tea Party, they wanted their own. They wanted to be able to plant food wherever they wanted on their own property. They bought. They wanted to be able to collect their own water. They wanted to be able to be totally independent and off the grid. They wanted to be like the Amish, whenever, if they wanted to or if they didn't want to. They wanted to have those choices, those sovereign choices. And that's kind of where Trump is at in regards to this country. We want our own choices. We don't want this globalist atmosphere around us or this umbrella. We want our own control. That's where Trump's at. And that's basically what he said out there. We're not going for the fucking green scam. We're not going for this trans crap. We're not going. And he laid it all out there. And he said, no, we're not fucking doing it because we're doing fine what we're doing. And we're not going to accept 500% tariffs when you guys are charging, when we're only charging you 20% tariffs. That's fucking ludicrous. It's a scam. And he knew it. And all these other things that he's doing that are just phenomenal, in my opinion. You're not feeling the rewards for that because it's not an overnight process for most of you. But I went to the store to get eggs yesterday, and the eggs were $1.49 for a dozen. $1.49. You know, during the Biden administration, they were four, almost $6 for $5.99 for the same eggs. Pork has just went down a little bit too. Beef is still kind of fucked up, right? But chicken's gone down a little bit too. You know, the main stuff you're supposed to be eating according to the flipped upside down pyramid, food pyramid. Yeah, I get it. I want to be there to help everybody, but I can't. If they're not getting it by now, Leonardi, they're not going to. I mean, I even when I attempt or try, and I've tried so many times, just sending real information from the CDC, here's a White House website on what he's actually doing, or whatever you're hearing on CNN or whatever, just this is what he's doing. My daughter the other day brought up God darn it, where is it? She brought up the something. Where the heck did she? Oh, hang on. All right, give me a second. And this is, he's following his own, his own written path. He's not. Let me see if I can find it. What's cool is my daughter's going to be a Master Chief pretty soon. Uncommissioned or commissioned officer. She's a badass. I don't know where she got that from. I'm just telling you. My daughter's a fucking badass. Her mom's pretty cool too. Nobody's perfect, but I don't know. My daughter's just fucking amazing. My boys are doing pretty good too. My son's going to Hawaii. He and his buddies are going to Hawaii in February. It's really cool. And then my youngest son he's been to Hawaii like 3 times. Anyway, let me just find this. Is she? I thought, hopefully she... No, she didn't word it, but let me see if it's in the history here. Yeah. Hopefully I have it. But it was the... like a military code of what has been going on or what they're going to be doing. It's like the playbook. No, that's the new insurance company I'm with. That's not it. Coral Springs. What's that? Those are my docs I signed. I got to go down here a little ways. Wow. Okay. Nope. Yep. Nope. Nope. You guys ever going to Rip Off Report? I recommend going to Rip Off Report. Oh man, I don't see it. I know it was like right around like a day or so ago. 749. Population. It was after that. Railway. Let me see here. It's like right around this time. It was like, that shit was after this. Yeah. I got past it. Please first. Is it the 20th? Oh, that's not it. I was just looking this up. 11:40. Email me. There's an exact... Darn it. Come on. Where is it? What is that thing called that the military with Trump has to list or listed? I forgot the name of it. Some report? Question mark. Maybe she'll respond. No, but I get it. You just don't... These people are already down. You know, that's the thing we need to understand is a lot of these people already dug a big ditch for themselves. But there's a way out. It's just me. I've always been positive. You know, I didn't sell 32 cars at a dealership with JD Byrider and break all the records because I was a negative guy. I've always, no matter what, been pretty positive. I mean, there are days I'm just like, fuck, today sucks, man. It's, I just don't let things just pull me down. It's so hard for that. And these people just let stuff just drag them into into literal hell. And then they'll make decisions that'll pull them even deeper and make their lives even harder. But there is a way to get out of these things. I'm saying just give it to God. I don't know how else to say it. Just give it to God. Just go into church one day or go somewhere or go get baptized, whatever the case may be. And just pray, look, God, I believe, I'm with you. Thank you. I appreciate everything you've given for me. And and I'm yours. That's it. And next thing you know, it just happens. Because when I got baptized at Melodyland in the mid '80s, I remember that moment, and I wasn't drinking, I wasn't drunk, I was partying a lot in those days, and I got baptized, and Melodyland was awesome in Anaheim, California, because that's where a lot of performers would go, a lot of singers. They had country music, they had all kinds of people from Hawaii all over the place. And I'd go there every once in a while, and then I went with one of my girlfriends, and I got baptized. And I remember after I came out from being dunked, I got dunked. All of a sudden, the thing that I'm trying to remember exactly what he said, but now you are relieved, or something. I think that's now it's washed away. It's washed away. And everything just washes. Take my advice on this. I'm telling you. It's a wonderful, amazing feeling. And I've always had that where no matter what happens in my life, and no matter how rough shit has been, ever since that day, I think I've always gone to God and said, there's nothing more I can do here, man. I'm doing my best. And then God just says in my mind or something, just then you should do this. And then I just start doing that. It's just kind of weird. It's not like there's a little voice in my head, but it's just, just the common sense things that you do kind of come to fruition and start to appear. It starts to manifest better in your mind, where you're not really pulled away in so many different directions by all these extenuating external circumstances and issues and problems. It's just, I'm okay now. Okay, so now I can see clearly now the rain is gone, right? And then once you see that, then you start to see what's in front of you. You start to see what matters to you most. You start to understand what is the thing in front of you that you need to move forward to. And then you start doing it, and you just go there, and you say, let's do this, right? Oh, wait, did she send it here? No, she didn't send it. All right, here it is. Okay. Yeah, it's called National Security Strategy. I'm going to take you there. Whitehouse.gov. National Security Strategy. Let's go there. Okay. And that's going to tell you what's happening, what's going on. And there's 33 pages. I'm not going to go through all of them. I'm just going to say this is how you have a pretty good idea of what Trump's actually doing out there. And this is what the military gets, and this is what everybody gets. This is our focus. This is what we're going. God is not God, but Trump's a religious guy. He believes in God. I do believe he does. He doesn't drink alcohol. He doesn't do drugs. He's probably one of our most purest presidents we've ever had, besides George Washington. Because I think everybody besides George Washington was a fucking drunk, in my opinion. It's just me. I don't think Reagan wasn't a partier either. That guy was he was a gospel man, Look, it's okay. But you just have no idea what it does. No matter how people see you, whatever happens, it doesn't matter, because you're with God now. You're with God, and God is doing everything he can. I mean, the chances of you being here, being able to experience all your senses, and there's a bunch of senses inside your body and outside your body, not just the five senses, but there's also there's other senses that happen. There's other realms of existence that happen. And you have to understand that this particular planet, God, you just have to be thankful. You know, no matter what's going on outside or who's doing what to who, what's going on, you've got to be thankful that there's a magnetic force protecting this planet from being bombarded by solar rays that could instantly kill us. If we didn't have the aurora borealis, or that layer that spews out around, up and down, like this force field, you know, like a Star Trek force field, there'd be nothing on this. We'd be the moon. That's how desolate it would be. And so there's this protective coating, just, you know, kind of like an iron dome. We've had animals and fruits and vegetables and grains and all this other stuff, and we're getting away from that. You know, and I am concerned about AI, but let me get to this stuff here real quick. All right. So what this is United States of America, remember 2025, he laid this out for everybody. I'll just read this part. My fellow Americans, over the past 9 months, we have brought our nation and the world back from the brink of catastrophe and disaster. Correct. After 4 years of weakness, extremism, and deadly failures, my administration has moved with urgency and historic speed to restore American strength at home and abroad, and bringing peace and stability to our world. No administration in history has achieved this dramatic turnaround in such a short time. Starting on my first day in office, we restored the sovereign borders of the United States and deployed the U.S. military to stop the invasion of our country. True. We got radical gender ideology and woke lunacy out of our armed forces. True, thank you. And began strengthening our military with $1 trillion investment. Okay, you know, there goes the military-industrial complex always wins, but there's a reason. We rebuilt our alliance and got our allies to contribute more to our common defense, including a historic commitment from NATO countries to raise defense spending from 2% to 5% GDP. We unleashed an American energy production to reclaim our independence and imposed historic tariffs to bring critical industries back to home. Now, the World Economic Forum did the opposite. They want the opposite of every country so they can come in, like I've told you guys, and just take it for themselves. So that a country go, oh, I can't handle the gas, and we're fucked. Can you please come help us? That's what the illegitimate Biden administration was there to do. That's what their job was, to basically destroy the country so that this corporate governance, and like I said, go up on the World Economic website, you'll see a corporate governance, could come in and save the day. And then next thing you know, you got Big Brother and you got Welling. What the heck is that guy's name? Big Brother. How come I'm drawing a blank? And it'll probably come. Let me just keep reading. In Operation Midnight Hammer, we obliterated nuclear achievements capacity. I declare the drug cartels are savage foreign gangs and operating in other regions, have foreign terrorism organizations. And over a course of 8 months, we settled 8 raging conflicts. That's true, including between Colombia, Thailand, Kosovo, Serbia, DRC and Rwanda, Pakistan, India, Israel and Iran, Egypt and Ethiopia, Armenia, Azerbaijan, and ending the war in Gaza with all Libyan hostages returning to their family. What the fuck? That was huge. Americans are strong and respected again. And because of that, we are making peace all over the world. That's true. In everything we do, we are putting America first. And please stop stroking Bibi's balls in Israel. That's all I got to say. That guy's just trouble. He's that fucking kid down the street you don't want your kids to hang out with. What follows is national security strategies to describe and rebuild upon the extraordinary strides we have made. This document is a roadmap to ensure that America remains the greatest and most successful nation in human history and the home of freedom on earth. In the years ahead, we will continue to develop every dimension of our national strength, and we will make America safer, richer, freer, greater, and more powerful than ever before. There you go. And then it goes into, it breaks down everything. their strategy, necessary Trump welcome corrections, what we do overall, principles. So I recommend you guys go look. Just go to whitehouse.gov. I'll put the link in the notes. But it's pretty detailed. I've gone over most of this, and I'm telling you, it's everything he's saying is where we're going. And everything in there for me is great. I'm going to tell you right now. I'm totally with it. Totally with it. Let me get out of here. Yeah. So with that all being said, and him going to Davos, I mean, I really want him to just. I want him at some point to say, "Hey, look, the World Economic Forum is the greatest terrorist group on the planet," which I know it is. I think he has an idea that it is, but there's the he said it right in the beginning. These are the who's of the who's, the what of the who's, or whatever they call it. They're there. Everybody that's anybody that's controlling a country, a corporation, people, whatever. They were there today, listening to Trump, and he's telling everybody to save on what he was actually selling, and he did a great job doing it. The model, the American model. Use our model. He's going to say that at some point. Mark my words. There are countries that are going to use the same model, the same processes, do everything similar to this. Maybe not having like a gigantic, military dome that we're going to have, which is just impenetrable almost. It's not perfect yet, but we're getting it. But everything else, business-wise, commerce-wise, industrial trade-wise, he's and if you're just, and he said it, we're just being fair. You ready? Those are his words. The fairness has to come back for everybody. Let's trade. Let's do all these great things. Let's share our cultures. Let's share our products. Let's share our knowledge. Let's move up. Let's evolve as a species. I've always said that. Let's evolve as a species. And I think God will help us get there. That's me. I'm okay to say that. I'm totally cool with that. I can say that. But once you give it to God, things just kind of you're good. Because at that point, you just know that there's nothing more you can do. You've done your best. But once you get all this other, like I said, once you get all this sticky junk off of you and all these things that kind of drag you down in this place where I don't know what to do anymore. I can't do what I want to do anymore. But just give it to God. That's all I'm asking you to do. Just go put your hand on the Bible. You don't even have to put your hand on the Bible. Just say, God, I give my life. I give it all. I give you all that is taking me apart to you. I know you can. Then I can be free. Does that make sense? But I'm telling you, be thankful for that, because that really is the big, great decision that you'll make in your life. All right? That's all I have to say. Anyway, I want to say thank you. Let me see if there's anything I missed, because I always miss a few things, but let me just check. Anna Kasparian gets... let me just get radical left.
The United States today sure will be a tall task as the U.S. team that has the goal scoring haven't been tested a whole lot defensively. You have to think today's the day.
Well, you're seeing those shots from distance right now, but as long as Anguin can see them.
They'll find one there from their captain. A blue line shot from Averill, and it's 1-0 for the United States.
Not sure where
All right, that's the hockey game. Let's go to so there may have been some things I may have missed. I'll just mention what they are. Let's go to Montauk real quick. I just want to kind of make sure I'm covering everything.
Mr. Chairman, I just think it's worth pointing out that the obvious reality here is that the Clintons are doing everything they possibly can to not come testify before the committee or had any real transcript or information about his engagement and involvement with Jeffrey Epstein over a long period of time. I mean, we've been working for 5 months to nail down a date for a...
Yeah, they don't want to come and say anything. Right? I mean, would you? If you were fucking been there a bazillion times? I don't know what that's about. I like what this girl's saying, though, because this makes sense, right? I like what this one makes sense. We're going to open this up in a new tab and play it. Hopefully it's not a commercial. It's like sometimes you just got nowhere else to turn, and he'll be there for you, you know?
I guess $1 Million Tony couldn't make it today. She too busy loving her home she just got for $1 million, while we just received these high property tax bills. So we all here because of our property taxes. Some here, like Zoe and Miss Jessica, because y'all stealing black people property. So I just want to know, because we just came from the city council meeting. We're coming there, and the city is blaming the county. And now you just blaming Springfield. And then when you, all these people, when they go to these town hall meetings and you send your puppets, they lie and they blame the invisible white man. Somehow they are pushing us out of our community. They want our property. They want black people property. They never say who it is. They just say, you know who they are. But when I come up in here, I see all black faces. I see Democrats. So are we talking about the Democrats are pushing black people out of their communities? The Democrats hate black people. The Democrats want our property and replace us with illegal aliens, because you all come in these meetings talking about the invisible white person, but we don't never see him, but we see all of you all here. And then you sit here, all these black faces, you sit here, all Democrats, and you sit here all arrogantly like your seats are secure, like we are not coming after these seats. Just like I told Brendan Johnson over there the first time I spoke on that mic, I said the same thing that's making y'all laugh in here gonna make y'all cry. And then you see what's happening. Same thing here. Now I'm giving y'all warning right here. The same thing that's making y'all laugh in here is gonna make y'all cry. Mark my words. See, y'all sit here too comfortably, thinking that everything, you know.
That's what I'm saying about Pam Bondi. And I'm telling you right now, if she doesn't fucking do anything, these people are going to keep thinking they can do what they do. You know, I mean, is Trump telling her don't do anything? We're just going to do our 1.5 years here and we're out. I mean, is that what's happening? I'm concerned about that. It doesn't seem like that. It doesn't seem, when I heard him on most of that in Davos, I was like, no, this guy fucking wants to really make this shit happen. But Pam's just seems, I'm not saying she's inept. I'm not saying she doesn't have the cognitive ability. I just think that something's holding her back, and there's some information about Pfizer, and she's got some money from them a while back in some case. But there's bigger fish here, Pam, and if it's above your pay ability, then let somebody else fucking do it, right?
Black people stupid, that we don't understand what's going on, that we gonna vote blue no matter who, and all y'all gotta do is use the race card. All y'all gotta do is call white supremacy, the white man. But we're in a heavily Democratic city from top to bottom, state and city, all Democrats. So can we say that the Democrats are racist white men or white women? Who is it? Because this is what y'all telling us. So I'm letting you all know, Chicago flips red. We are not paying these taxes. We are calling for a boycott on these taxes. Nobody is playing this game no more. We won't pay our taxes until we get a forensic audit on where all our money is going. We're demanding that. We're asking President Trump to send the feds here.
30 seconds.
The DOJ here. We need a forensic audit on where our money is going. And we are not paying another, no property tax. taxes, and we are calling for a boycott. And we're going around to every ward in the city and calling for it. You all going to learn to stop playing with us, and you all going to learn that you all work for us, and none of these seats secure. And we coming for those seats, and you can sit there like you sitting there, like you unbothered, all of you all. Yeah, but you getting up out of those seats.
Next speaker is Dennis.
You getting up out of those seats. Get them out. You guys have no idea what these people are doing. They're just literally stealing constantly. They're a bunch of thieves. And there's Republicans right along with them. I'm just going to, let's not. But I would say 99.89% of the Demoncratic Party is just a bunch of thieves, criminals, thugs, just the horrific, heinous predator, just sick fuckers. And there are a few, I would say at least maybe 15, maybe 20, I would say at least 30% at the max. There are Republicans out there. And you can see it. You've seen McConnell. You've seen Schiff, Lindsey Graham. You've seen John Thune recently. He's just being a piece of shit. Yeah, but that's a good one to end on. All I'm saying to you, there are people out there that deserve to be in those seats that actually really care about each other and the American people like I do. I care about my family. I care about my friends. I care about my neighbors. You know, I've said this many, many times. I mean, if my neighbor came to me and said, hey, could you help me jump my car, I wouldn't even hesitate. I'm that guy that used to push cars off of the road when I lived in Los Angeles. On the 405, the 5 freeway, the 101. If somebody's broken down for some reason, I don't know what the fuck I did, I would pull over and help that guy push that car off the road. For one, I want to get the car off the road because it's fucking up traffic. That's probably what they're really is. But I would be that guy. I turn on my truck, I would put the hazard lights on, get behind, just get out of my truck, and go pushing off the road, just to get him off the road. And the guy would look at me like, what the fuck was that? And I'm big, I'm strong, I can move a lot of shit. Anyway, it's been good. Thank you. If you ever want to come on, just let me know. If you ever want to have a conversation about anything, just let me know. If you ever want to talk about anything in regards to this, all I'm saying is what's great about Montauk, the greatest thing about this is we used to have people that used to come on here and vent. They would just get it out of their systems. And it was just, I witnessed this over and over. We'd have 10, 15 people on here one time. Maybe an argument, a little debate here and there, something happening. But they got it out. And they came back because it's not that it's addictive. It's a good release. It's a good release. You know, release. Anyway. Thank you all for being here.